quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Airthings. Breathe better. Live better.
Freedom!
So fresh, so new.
Freedom!
It's all for you.
All for you. Freedom!
Keep your ear to the ground.
Talking about the freedom!
It's the best show in town.
Let's show you the freedom! Freedom!
I'm ahead of the game. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker, but follow me, I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I'm only ever slinging, I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer, the melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy, logically, I'm impossibly wanted. And they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game.
Want to raise your chess to a new level? Challenge Yourself is an exclusive, innovative experience designed for Chess24 Premium members. Train like a champ, with a unique set of lessons prepared by the coaches of the challengers. Boris Girlfriend and Co. will help you improve your chess. Play a champ. Play a grandmaster each day in Banter Blitz. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity from June 10th. Go premium and challenge yourself.
Right, so maybe it's time to do some calculation, make sure we'll be able to see some hidden and hard moves during the tournament. Just like when we are facing some problems, no matter within chessboard or outside chessboard, and then we saw it's very complicated, we didn't find the solutions or whatever, but sometimes we just need to step back and, trying to think about this question as we saw it the first time and as a beginner with a fresh mind, right?
Yeah, you played this question, okay.
Yeah, this one I remember. Yeah. This one I think I have seen, but I don't remember.
Yeah, just the analysis I will be more curious. The game, I'm pretty sure you have seen the game.
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay, put it in chat.
How do you know all the positions?
Yeah, vocation is completely ruining the fun, yeah? You guys know this position?
Yeah, Mamedya Aroni.
Oh, Mukesh, what do I do with you?
So BC, I like this move because it really puts actually also my general idea that it's to give a choice to your opponent, it's always good, yeah? Because you never know, to give a chance to your opponent to make a mistake, it's always pleasant, yeah? Especially I was told, I learned this years, and when you play, let's say, opponent who is much weaker than you, if you force him to play with only moves, he'll find it. But if you give a choice, that's where the difference in your strengths will tell.
To say is that when you play versus the opponent who has only one opening, it's I think it's rather you really prepare some strong idea in the line which they play, like you are preparing against something what they played in their games, and then you prepare some strong idea, or you choose something different where it's like both of you are not in this theory. Just maybe some sideline or whatever, where she doesn't have so many games.
Watch chess tournaments online? Don't just watch. Go to Chess24 and make it an interactive learning experience. You get live commentary in multiple languages, including different streams in English from beginner to expert. It's not just commentary, since there's also an interactive live board. Choose your game and try out your own moves. All moves by the players get near-instant cloud analysis from the latest chess engine, which will also analyze any move made by a premium user. Open the tab Opening Tree. It contains a database of 500 million positions from historical games. Has the current position ever occurred before? What did the best players play? The database tab lets you search full games and load them on the interactive board. There are many more tools for chess learners and experts. Come to Chess24 to watch all the online and over-the-board chess tournaments happening worldwide. Discover a new way to watch chess. Be part of the experience.
Let's take someone with a random account, with a random name that just seems attractive.
Play live online against the world's top chess players while they stream their thoughts live. As a Chess24 Premium member, seize the chance to have your moment of fame. Get a peek inside their lives with question and answer sessions, in-depth teaching, analysis and interviews. The Champions Chess Tour, with countless accompanying events, is happening now. Tune in on Chess24.
Hello, and welcome to the final. So we've eventually got here, which is going to be an amazing final over the weekend. We've got the world champion himself. He's supposed to be pretty decent at chess, Magnus Carlsen, and this extremely talented opponent of his, Vladislav Artemiev, who is going from strength to strength, and they're going to fight it out for their top prize later on. So it's going to be a really, really good day. I'm going to be joined by Danny King, and we're going to take you over the day's action and what happens. And I'm really looking forward to this one. You know, it's like the climax, and we all love the climax of a great week's chess. Now, before we go there, I would like to mention our sponsors. Thank you so much to Opera, who's basically Opera makes this brilliant browser, which I'm using at the moment. And Opera has a VPN there, which you can use, and it's well worth checking out. Also, Airthings to check our air quality, something I should probably do a little bit more often. But I've moved out of London now, so it's okay. More countryside for me, so I'm sure my air is okay. And this is the Aimchess leg of the Champions Tour. Now, what is Aimchess? Well, Aimchess is this really, really cool, exciting new computer. I say computer, it's basically an app. It's a feature. It's something you can all use, every single one of you watching this, to look at your strengths and weaknesses and get a report on your own games extremely quickly. And I wish I had something like this when I was an improving chess player on my way to becoming a grandmaster, because sometimes we don't stop and think. We play lots of games of Blitz online, we keep playing, we maybe have a look at openings, but we never stop and think, and we never think, well, where am I going wrong? What am I actually good at? And one of the really cool things with Aimchess is that, and you can all do this, I'm going to take you through the process. Within a minute, you can find those important details. So you can find out where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses, where should you work, etc., etc. And I'm just going to take you through that process now, just in case you want to give it a go. So basically, go to aimchess.com, or you can check out the app if you're on Android or Apple. I think they're both on on both platforms. And you can see here, you can train. There's loads of interactive stuff you can do, but we're going to go to the scouting bit. So let's click there. And I have a report prepared already. But if you wanted to do this yourself for your own games, it's so quick to do. You just go to create report. You just put that in the title. You go to create reports. I'll just go for the process. You put in what platform you play on. So this is for a report online chess. You put in your username, you press continue, and it creates one of these reports. So the report we're going to have a look at is Ili Jat, and let's go and have a look at what we found about this guy's play. And again, this is basically just going through the process that you guys will do yourselves if you want to sign up to Aimchess, and I really highly recommend you do so, because you'll get interesting stats like this. You take 6 main areas of the game: opening, tactics, ending, how you convert advantages, basically winning good positions, very important in chess, how much you can come back from bad positions, and your time management. And you can see the purple line is yourself. So that's how you're performing. Like in the opening, we can see that Ili Jat is doing incredibly well with a 90% score there. And what I really like about this is you compare this to players of a similar rating to you. So the average, let's say, I'm not actually sure what rating Ili Jat is, but we'll find that in a minute. But we compare this to players who play online with a similar rating. So that's a very good indication of where you're strong and weak. So we can see here in the opening, Ili Jat is 15% higher than those who are of the same rating, and that's the grey line. But what areas is maybe Ili Jat a little bit weak in? Well, it seems like he's pretty good in a lot of areas, but tactics, okay, if I was a coach, I would say 53% tactics, and we'll have a more in-depth look at these stats very soon. You should probably try to improve that. Endings, you're a little bit below 50%. That's another area to improve. You're quite good at converting the advantages, but you're still below the average. Your resourcefulness, maybe you're giving up a little bit too early. So this is one area we would certainly concentrate on if I was a coach. And again, this is a platform where you don't actually need a coach, because you get that information straight away and you can be like, right, okay, I'm not fighting hard enough when I'm actually in a bad position. Time management seems to be pretty on par there. And now we can go down, and again, like I say, just give this a go yourselves. I mean, I'm showing you how it works, but the best way to learn anything is literally put Aimchess into your browser, download the app now, and just give it a go, because you'll find this information and you can play around with it. But to go a little bit more deeper, so we did say resourcefulness, so I think we're going to go there, but I'll briefly go over some of the other areas. Your win rate, this shows you how much you win. With white, you're winning a lot more with black. So again, we can see work on your black openings. It's very logical, and you get this information, the interpretation here. So you get everything kind of spoon-fed for you. And you can go into your openings in a lot of detail. Again, it picks out all your openings here and the kind of stuff that you're doing well, you're doing wrong. You can even get scores on your individual openings. So let's say you started playing, I don't know, I like the Collie system. So the Collie system is here, and you started playing the Collie system. And what it does, it gives you a score, how you're averaging compared to the computer after 15 moves. And we can see we're nearly +1, but look at the white openings. I mean, well, both openings. Definitely the opening part of the game is a real strength. So I would say stop looking at the opening, look at other areas of your game. So let's go down, and you can't get this information except with Aimchess, which is really cool. Advantage capitalization is pretty average with the group. So now we get the rating 1614. This is the control group, and the control group is 1600 to 1800. So it's pretty on par there. So nothing really to, I would say, get involved with there. But this is the area of the game where I'd say, right, you've got to have a look at this. You might be getting a bad position, but you're giving up too early. So when you have, and this is how and I'm saying this is what you should be doing to yourselves as well. When you're minus 1.5 in a position, you're only getting a result 17% of the time, which is really quite appalling, because when you're minus 1.5, you need to come back and you need to fight hard. And this is where I would go into I could maybe review my games here, and I could see, hang on a minute, is that really right? What am I actually doing? Or you can even go into these really structured lessons, like learning how to defend positions. And this is where you're forced to fight in positions where you're worse. So you get that helping hand immediately. So useful. So here, of course, I'm going to take the pawn and I'm going to move my king. And you can see I did it wrong. Oh, wow. So, okay, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on this, aren't I? But you get all these lessons and you can try them time and time again. So, of course, even here, and these are personalized for your own games. I'm going to try moving forwards. I'm probably going to get this wrong as well. Okay, I will take that one. Thank you very much. Yes, I got one right. So a really cool feature, and it's got some fun stats as well. Right down at the bottom, you can even see what days you play well on, which I really like. And it looks like I'm finding far too much information about this chap here, because it looks like he probably has a job. This is what I'd infer from the information, because he's only playing really at the weekend on Saturday. Maybe he's got kids, because on Sunday he's only playing 6 games, but Saturday seems to be his free day. On Saturday, he's like, right, this is my blitz day. Now, don't play on a Thursday. Whatever he's doing on a Thursday, it's going horribly wrong. Maybe he meets his friends on the Wednesday night. Maybe he goes to karaoke bar. Maybe he gets the karaoke on. Maybe he, parties a little bit too much. Maybe that's his one night off. No, actually Wednesday night, I should say, because on Thursday, that's when he's going wrong. So you can look at all of these cool stats, and it's really worth checking out. So Aimchess, there you go. Now, it seems like we have the legend joining us, the man himself, the guitar-playing genius, who who's had his rhubarb. And hello, Danny. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Oh dear, I think I lost the plot a bit yesterday evening. I think it all went a bit downhill, didn't it? I think we were a bit knackered. Anyway, yeah, I'm basically all right. Feeling a little bit under the weather this morning, I must admit. But how are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I mean, it was a really long day, and I actually look back at some parts of it yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, it was a long day. I was like, yeah, it's a long day. So I mean, it was a long day. It was great chess, and but it's going to be easier today, Danny. Right? It's a lot easier today. So
let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah. I mean, there was some really interesting stuff. Looking back at some of those games, and seeing what actually was going on was. Once this morning I kind of flicked through some of the games with an engine, and you go, oh blimey, did we miss that? Well, what was really going on? It was incredible. But Carlsen just seems to be on impressive form. We always have this thing where he sort of beats himself up after the games, but it seems to me he's playing incredibly well. He said yesterday, I need to raise my game or whatever. If he raises his game, I think that would be really scary, because it seemed to me he played incredibly well yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly critical of himself, Magnus in general. I mean, it's one trait he's certainly got, being a perfectionist, and even when he plays better than anyone else in the world, he's still critical when he makes any small error. I see you got your rhubarb, Danny. Did you see my ginger as well?
Oh, no, I didn't see on Twitter.
Have a look on Twitter, Danny.
I didn't see that.
Check out Twitter. I'm going to show everyone.
Have you got a photo there?
I have. I don't know if it'll come up. Can you see the ginger there? That's a big bit of ginger. It doesn't show so well. Guys, you'll have to get on Twitter to see it, I'm afraid. But
yeah, I'll take a look now. Hang on.
Go and have a look. So I saw your massive rhubarb, and I thought,
I've got me massive rhubarb. Yeah, I was on the allotment this morning.
Nice.
I can see it now. There you go. Oh, nice.
Oh, there you go. That's
yeah. There you go. That's what you need with a bit of rhubarb. And yeah, I was on the allotment again this morning. Picked some more rhubarb. Picked actually very exciting. Had corn on the cob for lunch. Picked some sweet corn. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Oh, it sounds like you've had quite a good day then. I mean, corn on the cob. That's quite nice. I mean, that's good. Yeah.
I tell you what, it was you know, when you pick it fresh and you know, it's straight on your plate about an hour later. It tastes so sweet. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. We're just seeing your picture now, Danny.
Yeah.
And that is a proper rhubarb. So we've been discussing throughout the week how I like a bit of ginger. Surprise, surprise. But I actually enjoy ginger, and I have ginger in my tea.
Yeah, that's great.
Like every day. I mean, this is my pot of tea that keeps me going.
That's good. Do you know what? I've got to get a pot of tea like that. That looks really good.
It's pretty nice, I have to say. It's good stuff. You know, it lasts a duration, and it keeps you going. You know, so which we need.
Yeah, that sounds excellent.
At times.
So that was That was a highlight this morning. I went to the allotments again, picked some more rhubarb, picked some sweet corn. That was really tasty, and so got lots of energy. You know, I'm starting to wake up a bit and looking forward to the games, basically.
Yeah, good. I mean, we're actually being told, Danny, just so everyone knows, there's a little bit of breaking news. So we won't go into this too much during the course, but we're only, and this might be good news for us, I'll be honest, we're only looking at the final, because they're normally in these events, you have the fight for first place. And I do always personally think, it's just a personal opinion, in any sporting event like football, anything like this, the fight for third and fourth place, my opinion, is not that interesting. You've lost, you're in there. But Alireza has come down a bit ill. He's actually a bit ill, so they're not playing for third and fourth. So that match for third and fourth place is not actually happening. Alireza has caught a bug or some sort, and he's not playing. So we're only looking at the Magnus Carlsen Artemiev battle first, which I think is good news, because we could just concentrate on that one match. I mean, I guess, you know, hopefully Ali will get better soon. I mean, he's had a lot of chess, and I'm sure he'll be. Okay, I'll be quiet before I get in trouble. But anyway, so we're only concentrating on the final, Danny. Let's just say that.
I know what you mean.
And
in other news, the dog ate my homework.
Exactly. Yeah, that's and let's just move on from there, shall we? Okay.
We got some moves. Moving on.
Yeah.
So Artemiev with the white pieces, and it's in English so far. Who knows what this is going to transpose into? Magnus having a little bit of a think. Well, we're about to find out. What's your bets? Fianchetto or E6 or E6 or what?
I would imagine. I mean, Magnus he doesn't generally play Fianchetto variations. He prefers more classical approaches to the game, and occasionally he plays G6, but I'm actually trying to think when he plays Grunfeld, King's Indian defenses, you know, Benko's, Bano, it's really, really rare. So I expect in this position he'll play like E6, maybe C6, C5, one of these moves is more his style, I would imagine, Danny. And I think we're going to get quite a lot of interesting positional games between these two, and they're both prefer playing that way. I think, Danny, would you say it's fair to say they like it? So we have C5, yeah, just a symmetrical English to start with, understandable. So
yeah, they're interesting that's kind of Magnus is feeling his way through, you know, not sort of blitzing out the moves. But we know that Artemiev likes to invest a lot of time as well. You know, it's like I always feel that it's very serious chess with Artemiev. You know, he takes the game very properly. You know, he cares about his moves. I know that I mean, that sounds ridiculous. Of course, all top players care about their moves, but he doesn't treat the game lightly.
No, I agree, and I think you know, you hear about the Soviet school of chess, you know, in the 70s, which was dominant, and around that period of time, how they were taught to play very good principled chess from a young age. Completely different to other areas of the world. We could even say, you know, England, for example. But he reminds me of one of those players who just plays good moves. You know, he doesn't take too many risks. He plays good chess moves, good positional moves all the time. So that's why I think there's going to be quite interesting positional struggles. I mean, I would have thought that Magnus is going to be, that's going to suit Magnus because that's what he wants as well, right? But, you know, be interesting. Pretty unassuming stuff here, Danny, as well. E3 played.
Yeah, so I suppose we could be getting a Tarash.
Yeah.
Which can, you know, get an IQP position. Yeah, I guess we're going to see D4.
Yeah.
Is he going to take, or is he going to play D4? I don't know. D4 straight away looks normal.
I see Magnus is looking quite, if anything, a little bit bored. You know, on the video, he looks quite chilled, I suppose, is one way of saying that. Quite relaxed there. Actually, Tark DC has said Magnus looks like he's reconsidering his life choices. I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't agree with that because, I mean, come on, you're world champion. Life is okay. Come on, it's not that bad. But he's probably just working out what kind of opening he wants to go for. And I've had this position a couple of times, Danny, and I hate this kind of position with black, personally. I mean, and I had a game where I was playing Erwin, and I tried to get the Benonian, and he just played this against me, and I was like, oh no, and it was horrible. You know, he completely got me because it's like I wanted a sharp game, and he just played this very solid structure where White has the extra tempo. White can kind of get, you know, a position that he might prefer.
But the A6, that's the kind of move that I like in this position, actually, A6, because, you know, you're setting up for an IQP position. You're sort of hoping that they're going to take at some moment, and then the bishop can drop back to A7. But also A6, yeah, I mean, I've played this myself. I kind of like it because it stops all those funny bishop b5 check moves, and you know, you hand the decision over to White, so White has to decide. Okay, do I want to go for the IQP myself? So if he takes, then you're going to recapture like this and get an IQP. But if they play bishop d3, of course, okay, then Black can decide to go for this and. Well, it's basically a Queen's Gambit accepted position, isn't it? I think it is. I think it's a direct transposition.
Yeah, it's direct. Yeah,
but probably quite a decent one because the knight is on c3.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So
often in those positions, Danny, I think you want to go a4, b4, knight d2 to c4, right? So
yeah,
it's
So I think, you know, a6 is quite nice. I kind of like the way he's played that. We've seen, I don't know if you've seen g3 is possible here. Oh, there we go. He's done it. And in fact, I think this is the same as Carlsen against Dubov, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think Carlsen had the white pieces against Dubov. Dubov won a. Okay, I might have misremembered this, but I think Dubov won this fantastic game. In one of the earlier online tournaments earlier in the year, absolutely beautiful game where he ended up switching over to the kingside attack. And then maybe our fab producer Tadeusz could just check that one. But I think it was the same as this. So I quite like the way Black does it here. So you mentioned this structure, where Black plays this for this queenside majority, and I think it's very appropriate here because White has committed the bishop to this side of the board. If we had some position back here where White's going bishop e2, then you can try and later undermine with b3 and a4. Whereas when the bishop goes to g2, basically Black has more chance of controlling these squares because there's no bishop on this diagonal. So it makes a lot of sense to me. So I think Carlsen, he's basically copying the way Dubov played, seems to me. And I think this is very respectable for Black. I had a quite a long look at this game, and I was totally impressed by the way Dubov played it, actually.
Yeah, I guess in some ways, again, we did mention this kind of structure yesterday, that there's two things in chess really. There's a pawn structure, very loud plane going overhead, but there's a pawn structure and there's pieces in chess, right? And if you've got the better pawn structure, the better pieces, you're obviously doing well. It goes without saying. But this pawn structure to me is better for Black in some ways. Okay, because Black has a very simple plan: b5, b4. Now White's got the more pawns in the center, so White probably wants to play e4. If White is never able to play something in the center in the long run, Black can just get a passed pawn, right? If, let's say, all the pieces are taken off the board, every single piece, then Black is probably doing very well with this b5, b4, c3. So it's kind of like a little bit of positional things to think about. But on the other hand, Black's pawn on d5 can be a target, and White has to use the pieces. So he has to go generally, I think, Danny, the idea is knight e5. You play castles, knight e5, and maybe e4, f4, this kind of stuff to try and do something active in the middle of the board. So I feel that White will have to do something here with his pieces. Otherwise, actually, even what is he going to do? I like the way Black's played this.
But also, it's slightly funny, and basically, it looks like a Tarrasch, doesn't it? Where the pawn has just moved to e3, which is not very beautiful because these light squares are slightly weak, and Black later has this possibility to play the bishop into d3. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying about 95, and I think that's the way my memory is like a sieve at the moment. But I think this is very much how the game went. I think it went castles and bishop f5 immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, you're totally right about the Tarrasch thing, because you can get the same line in the Tarrasch, except I think White has the pawn on e2 and Black has, a pawn on a7. So, and that line was very respectable for Black, and the way White tried to get advantage in that line was knight e5 and e4. So that's where I'm getting this kind of concept from. The only other thing you can do as White is to go b3. I mean, there's really only two plans that White can do. What else can you do as White? You can't really do anything. So you've got to go for knight e5, e4, plan one, or you've got to try to undermine the pawn on c4 with b3. On the other hand, Black can just develop knight c6, b5, bishop f5. Quite easy to play for Magnus. So, yeah.
So, I mean, I suppose castles here.
By the way, Danny, you know when you say your memory is like a sieve, it's not at all. Don't put yourself down like that, sir. Carlsen Dubov, Everything's Masters in December 2020.
There you go.
Dubov beat Carlsen with Black and finally eliminated Carlsen in the quarterfinals. Danny, your memory is fabulous.
Okay, but also, did it go castles? Did he play rook e8 or bishop f5 or knight c6? I can't. You see, this is where the sieve bit comes in. Because
you asked me far too many questions.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me look this up because
have a look. Yeah,
this is starting to bother me. Hang on.
I can check for you if you want, Danny. But if you're happy,
I'm going to have a quick. I'll have a quick look here.
Yeah. So I think this is a really clever thing to do. I mean, one thing I see so many people doing when they're trying to improve at chess is. And this is something which happened. I mean, it's funny, I played chess tournaments in England since the age of 8, weekend tournaments. Most weekends I go and play a tournament, and you'd have the same players there for like 30 years, right? And they'd come and play the same tournaments, and they would always be, let's say, about 1800 ELO, and they would never get past that thing. But then they'd play the same openings for 30 years. They'd play the same ideas for 30 years, and they'd never change. And that is just a recipe for disaster in anything you do in life, I think, not just chess. You've got to try to move forwards, pick up ideas. And what Magnus has done here, he lost with white in this position. So now he's using those ideas which beat him, and he's using them on the other side. He's adapting. And adaptability is one of the, I think, most important things in life as well, adapting to situations. And you can use that on the chessboard. You're adapting to certain scenarios that are occurring. You're learning. You're constantly learning. So the biggest problem I see with a lot of players is they just want to play the same setups time and time again, and they're not learning. And this is something that Magnus is trying to do here. He's learning from his losses, and he's employing them in his own games. So
so here we go. We've got knight c6 and castles on the board, and I'm getting there slowly with my research. No, I still haven't. I picked out the wrong. Oh, I'm almost there.
Okay, a couple. I mean, in the meantime, white has played this knight into e5, a very logical move, and he's probably going to go f4. Maybe he's going to go e4, this kind of thing as well. So rook to e8 played.
So yeah. I think Carl takes and yeah,
this is still in the game. Sorry, Danny. Again, today this is just messaging that this actually in the game went knight takes c6 and b3 is what Magnus played as white. And here Dubov played bishop takes c3
and knight e4, yeah, or a5.
Yes, knight to e4.
Knight e4
was the way Dubov beat Magnus with the black pieces. So again, this is Magnus learning from his losses and trying to replicate good lines that his opponents have played against him. So yeah, learning. This is what everyone needs to do.
Okay, I'm going crazy. I still can't find this game. This is starting to bug me.
I can see.
Yeah.
Get the rhubarb out, Danny. Get the rhubarb out.
Oh Jesus, this is going to haunt me, isn't it?
I know. You'll be here for the next half an hour. I need to find this game. Someone, please send Danny the game. Just tweet it or something. Someone, please give a link on Twitter to Danny. You know.
Yeah.
It was quite funny, but some people are asking, could you start the show with a song today, Danny?
Oh, Jesus. I tell you what, you might have seen, have you noticed there's a big blank wall behind?
Are you taking the guitars away? What happened?
I think I've contravened FIDE broadcasting rules because I'm afraid they had to be removed. Yeah, there's a slight problem there.
I only just noticed that.
So they've gone.
Okay, but why? Why have you moved the guitars? So you're not tempted to play them? What happened?
I'm certainly not tempted to play it on because yeah, somebody, I think Chess24 must have tweeted the clip.
Oh God, yeah, I saw it as well.
Yeah,
I thought your guitar playing was excellent, but I just saw me with this weird look on my face trying to drum, and I thought, oh my God. I thought this has been. It was a 5-hour commentary session, but I thought, Simon, just this is just embarrassing. But you had the same feeling, did you?
I did have the same feeling. It's like this is very much the end of the day. It's all gone south.
I noticed neither of us retweeted that tweet.
Exactly.
It was
a very fair point.
Oh, Danny, but that's bad. Get the guitars back, please, sir. It wasn't that bad. It's all a bit of fun and games at the end of the day, isn't it? Isn't it?
It was a good laugh. I just thought
it was a good laugh.
Normally, I like to think I play with a little bit more finesse than that. But anyway, okay, this is driving me nuts. I still can't find the game.
Okay,
well, I haven't updated my database for about a year.
Yeah,
it's telling me. That's bad. Yeah. Okay. Bishop a6. Okay, this is all looks pretty normal. I think this is it's very similar to how this game went. And I like Black's position. I think it's it just feels very easy for Black to play because once you recapture on c4 and then you take here and play knight e4. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but it's so similar.
So, Danny, I've got a bit of information. I'm going to put you out of your misery. But
okay.
But first of all, move 13.
Yeah.
I'm just going to double check this, so bear with me. But on move 13, it seems like Magnus played a novelty. And the novelty that Magnus played was... okay, move 13. It was A5, because in the Dubov game, as we mentioned, Dubov played bishop takes C3.
He took here, didn't he?
Quite possibly. Quite possibly that's the way it went. But this A5 is a new idea from Magnus in this game.
Yeah.
I can tell you how the Dubov game went. I've now got the link to it, just to put you out your misery. So it did go after B3, bishop takes, knight E4.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it went queen G4.
Hang on.
No, sorry. I'm just trying to see your reaction there. Okay. Sorry, that was just cruel. Okay.
Total confusion.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Danny. That was just cruel. Rook C1 was what Magnus played.
Oh, now he played A5.
And now he played A5. So it was quite similar. And after B takes C4, bishop A6 came on the board. And here F3. And I suppose what Magnus is thinking, if we compare this again, but we can have a look. F3, knight takes C3, rook takes C3, bishop takes C4 occurred.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Black was doing absolutely fine.
And he played H5 or something.
That's right. He played Queen G5 and H5 and this kind of stuff. And he got a fine game. But Magnus has deferred from this one, as we've seen in the game, by not playing knight E4. So the difference is he's going for the same concept, but he's hanging back on knight E4, which actually seems quite logical in some ways, because that's always an option. But it's the same idea. So he certainly learnt from that game.
I think it's really similar. And yeah, Magnus certainly got nothing out of the opening in that line with that position. I mean, of course, it's roughly level, but it was just very, very easy for Dubov to play. And I don't know if you remember it, but Dubov just wound up with just a really classical kind of kingside attack with H5, H4, and it was just really easy for Black to play. But in many ways, this is so similar. And Magnus has just taken here, and I imagine we're going to see 94 again. Actually,
I would have thought so. Yeah, I mean, and he's played it. He's played 94, so he's really following these previous games. And again, I just like this way of learning in principle. You learn from people doing things that make you wake up, and as he's had bad experiences, he's replicating those ideas. And I just think there's a lesson to be learnt there that a lot of players don't do. They're not willing to try new things out, and he's doing this. And okay, I mean, the bishop on C3 looks really bad to me as a starting point, but it is the two bishops, and I like that move. I do like that move. Yeah,
but maybe later on he's intending F3 and bishop F2, but H5 is such a natural move here, and I love Black's pieces on the outposts here. It's just like just a really straightforward way, very classical chess, and H5 H4 just very natural in this position. But very, very easy play for Black. And, you have to ask yourself, well, what's the rook doing on A1? What are these rooks doing? Is he actually going to play rook B7 here? Does that... I mean, I just want to have a look. Let's just have a look. Can you do this? Or do you just drive this one away? Or bishop A6 even? Or knight D6 as well?
Yeah, I suppose you have to calculate bishop B5, then knight D6 as well.
Bishop B5.
You can go A4, but maybe your rook's actually just got himself in a bit of trouble here. Yeah. Maybe I can go knight D6 here. I was hoping, but
okay, I'm gonna.
Oh, hello.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't like this. I shouldn't. I've changed my mind. I mean, even this.
But actually, we could. Worst case, we can just drive the rook away, and actually rook B7 comes to nothing. So, okay. I mean, all this by way of saying, White doesn't really have any counterplay on the queen side at the moment, and it just feels like Black is sort of making all the moves here.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare the minor pieces, then the knight on E4 at the moment is so much better than the bishop. I mean, they both got light squared bishops, but the knight is better than White's dark squared bishop at the moment. It's a kind of position which has a lot of potential, I think, Danny, for White. For example, the pawn on C6 is weak, and if White can ever get this plan of f3, bishop f2, e4, then his bishops will suddenly open up, and he could certainly have a great position then.
Okay, well, let's try it. Let's go f3.
Let's do it.
Right, big question. Where does it drop back to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so simple, actually.
No, it's not
I mean, my
clear.
first thought is actually knight g5, just to be a bit provocative, just to sort of linger in this sort of part of the board, and then so bishop f2.
Yeah, and I kind of just want to go e4.
Yeah.
Simply.
Queen f6.
Okay, now the knight on g5 looks quite nice, doesn't it?
So probably got to go back. I don't know. It just feels like black should be fine here.
But do you know what White's played? He's played queen d1 immediately, which is interesting. I mean, it looks counterintuitive because you put your queen on c2, but we saw the queen could actually be better on that square in some variations. I mean, I kind of just feel in long term, black is certainly better in the short term, it feels. But in the long term, if White can just achieve this plan, f3, bishop f2, e4, he's going to start using that center, and he might be better if he can get that plan in. I mean, you know, if maybe we could just show it on the board, Danny. Let's say black played like king h8 or something, just to demonstrate the plan, which he obviously won't do. But if you can just play it, f3, I don't know, like knight f6, we can say bishop f2. And at some point, now the queen's on d1, I'm not sure if that really helps me, but if you go rook f8, e4, it's a massive advantage for White. And this is like this is the thing that White, if he gets this in with e5 coming, I think White would be doing very well, right? I mean, so that's kind of the battle maybe here.
But h4, in fact, h4 is on the board. And h4 just looks very natural again. And g4, it's very interesting. Artemiev played that very quickly. He's down to 3 minutes already. How did where did his time go? I thought we've only just started the game. And this is crazy.
Yeah, very good opening choice, Magnus, I think. Very clever. So, yeah.
I like a4. That's really nice because it means, you know, we talked about this move, bishop b5, locking in the rook. It means the bishop can sit there just to cut out the counterplay. And if White wants to get anywhere, he's going to have to exchange bishops, but that will leave the king very insecure if White does exchange bishops. So a4 is one of those nice little moves that I think that says a lot about how Magnus is feeling about the position, that he can take the time to actually play that move just to secure things. Okay, a3. Well, again, that gives another square, but I mean, I guess it's not that important either way. But yeah, I'm really like this for Magnus, I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole plan with f3 and going e4 just doesn't look that good anymore with the pawn on h4 and g4 as well to me. So it maybe, you know, black is very comfortable at least in this position.
Are we going to see another rook a7 over here?
One of Magnus's favorite ideas, isn't it?
Yep.
This rook coming across.
Or is he gonna preempt f3 and maybe put the knight on d6 so that if f3, then he's ready with knight here.
Yeah,
that could be the idea actually.
Yeah,
I have to say I kind of like knight d6 here.
He's played it. Has he played it? Oh no.
No, he hasn't played it yet.
Oh. Looks like a very nice square for the knight to go into.
How's Magnus looking? I can't.
He looks a bit more awake than he was earlier. I mean, he started off looking a bit bored. He's waking up a little bit now, and yeah, he's having a swig of his water at the moment.
Yeah,
or vodka or whatever it is. I'm not sure, but no. And yeah, comfortable. I'd say just comfortable. I'm not sure.
96 is my punt. Any other moves? What do you reckon?
Well, he's got rook e6, so
okay,
which maybe he's waiting. maybe he's thinking, I don't want to move that knight until I have to. So rook c1 play quickly. Again, logical move. I mean, I was looking at queen g5, but just to try to start doing some king size stuff with f5. But
there you go.
Oh, he's played it. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. Because I think even if I can get f5 in, I can maybe start going for a direct attack here with the other rook coming to f8.
Yeah.
My pawn on h4, I'm really liking Harry over there. Harry the h pawn. I can always flick h3 in at the right moment. So.
Do you know what? It just feels like such a natural position for black to play. I mean, this is exactly how Dubov played it. He used his h-pawn, he put the rook on e6 and swung it over at some point. Just looks like a lot of fun. I really like this position for black.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we have to check this move. So let's just see, is something disastrous happening here, or can we play this? So knight d6, then this one is on. So rook c6 could take on e3, but maybe that's not so bad. So I'm not sure. Maybe the knight can't go back there.
He's played f4 just to let you know how.
Wow, f4. I mean, I was going to say after f3, I suppose the knight is going to come back here, and then we just pile up on the e-pawn. But okay, f4. Let's just get with the game. Wow, very committal to leave that knight on e4. Okay, so I guess we have to hold on to this one. Now, where's it going to go back to? D8.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the one thing White's got going here, pawns on g4 and f4 could be quite useful with the bishops behind them. So, they've both got potential to move up. And is the pawn on h4 going to be a weakness in certain positions? I mean, no good. Okay, so he's gone to e7. I
think it's okay because it means that,
bishop e4.
Hit the queen. Yeah. So he could just play queen d7.
Yeah. I don't think it's that bad for White here. I mean, this okay. The knight is a monster, but the bishop on b4 seems well placed. There's a weakness on c6, and the pawns on f4 and g4 can give White some dynamics. Maybe not that bad, is it?
Yeah,
maybe
it's a little. Yeah, it's just a little bit of activity.
A little bit, yeah.
But that's why I was okay. I'm going back to this position. That's why I was kind of keen, or no, well, back here. I was kind of keen to play knight d6 to preempt f3, because in any case, the knight has the potential to come into c4 and then keep going with queen g5 or whatever. But well, anyway, let's see. And maybe just Magnus is thinking that this is just going to be quite weak. But okay, let's take a look. So bishop b4 is on the board. What about queen d7?
Okay.
So if f5, I can just put the rook back on e8. And
I don't really want to give the knight the g5 square as well. I mean,
yeah, that's nice, isn't it? That's really nice. Yeah,
that's
that's
a good square for the knight.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think what White's doing, and I think that'd be very. I mean, if I'm going to push a pawn, I will push the g pawn, especially with a queen on d7.
That's interesting. He's played to c7. Now, what's
queen c7?
What's the difference?
Well, there might be g5, bishop h3 things to watch out for, potentially. I see. We have a guest joining us as well already. Wow.
Oh.
Not a bad guest either, but okay. At some point.
Fantastic.
Okay. So everyone in the chat, he's not with us yet, but you have to guess the guest before the guest is here. Let's do that. And the person who guessed the guest first wins some rhubarb that Danny will send over to you via first class delivery, and I'll send you a bit of ginger. That won't happen, by the way.
Yeah, be careful not to promise too much.
I'm not promising anything. So
yeah. Me neither.
Okay, so we have some guesses of the guess. Okay, so someone's guessed. I'm just going through it. Harry Krishna, Magnus Carl. It won't be Magnus. He's actually playing. Sharon Stone, unfortunately not.
Sharon. I like the sound of Sharon.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have Sharon join us as well. Just watch where the camera's pointing with her.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
Okay, the ideas are getting a bit more outrageous now, so we'll go back. Well, you have to wait and see, but it's obviously a great guest. So.
I shouldn't have blurted my tea at that moment. That was bad news.
All a bit pear-shaped there.
Okay, Queen E1 on the board. So he's targeting the pawn on H4. I still find this very hard to believe from White's viewpoint.
It's a very strange position. It's a very kind of unique position here, isn't it?
I mean, I'm looking at H3, takes knight G5.
Yeah. And then bishop G2, we need to find a good move there, don't we?
Yeah.
In that position. So, which there could well be. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, White is threatening to win a pawn here. So how do we deal with that one? Here's a pawn.
It's very direct play. Just so many nice Black's pieces look so lovely, but that is really annoying. If that pawn drops, then
it's a concrete threat.
It is, so, and actually, these squares are covered, so suddenly, Black can't actually double on the E file, which is very annoying. So how do we make sense?
Well,
of it?
I mean, I could probably. I'm thinking about bringing the queen to G5. Queen D8 to G5. So, and I'm thinking if the queen on G5 could be okay. So it's a pawn sacrifice at the moment, but
but Queen G5. No, I'm with you. I think that certainly starts to make sense of Black's pieces again.
It does, because I'm going to aim for E3, but I Knight F6 could be a direct threat there with 2 pawns. So Queen G5 looks like an obvious follow up, unless there's something a bit more spicy here. Okay, H3 is the move we wanted to play, but you've got to make this work tactically now. So how do we make this work tactically? Bishop takes. So it's a 2-pawn sacrifice now. Queen now comes into G5.
Very dynamic, because
very dynamic.
The bishop can't move because the pawn, of course, could be taken. Magnus going for it, and now he can drop back with Knight F6 to hit both these pawns. Very interesting. And while I'm looking at the clock times as well, Artemiev down to under 1.5 minutes, Magnus 3.5 minutes. So he's, it's classic Magnus. He knows when to turn it on, and such a practical player, just presenting difficulties for his opponent here. Hate the rook on A1. What a dreadful piece. Very difficult to bring this one into the game. I mean, it's going to double, but at some moment, but
agreed. I mean,
it's all happening on the king side.
Yeah, I mean, White's position looks very clumsy. The king is quite weak. The pawn on E3 is weak, but it's 2 pawns. So at the end of the day, it's now Black who has to prove something. Otherwise, he's 2 pawns down. So Queen E2 looks like a good move, covering and getting ready to play Rook E1, and White's got to defend. Magnus has got to prove something here, surely. So Rook C8. So he's taking his time, and he's just playing now to come into C2, bringing another piece into play.
It's a really interesting move. So what he's saying is, if White uses the rook to defend here, so let's say rook here takes, then he'll have a go on the E file. Then it's all kicking off here.
Yeah. Well, hang on a minute. Rook C1, Bishop C4.
Oh, Bishop C4. That's the issue. Of course. Oh, good grief. Time to wake up again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you take on C8, maybe I can just take your queen even, because the king is so weak.
Yeah.
How do you defend?
Let's see that.
Yeah.
And these 2 pawns. Unless, I was going to say who checkmates first. I think probably Black checkmates.
Oh, three big ones coming in
just before this one. This is on the board. This is on the board. This is incredible.
Oh wow! But how does White's king is just too weak? It's just too weak in this position. This is actually quite a great game from Magnus, isn't it? I mean, he's made this look very easy so far. You can't defend e3. Bishop d2.
Yeah, but now he's got his queen h4. Queen h4 looks absolutely crushing. He's threatening the bishop, and he's threatening queen f2. I mean, this is just gone.
Well, bishop takes g4 play, Danny. Another way.
That'll do. That'll do.
Another way to break immediately through the position. Knight and queen, best attackers of two pieces you can ever get. Knight takes d2 might not be so clear because of rook c8, so you don't want to allow that counterplay. You've got to keep attacking.
Bishop f3. Bishop f3.
Wasn't that game? If you go bishop f3, how do you stop?
It's on the board. That's game over.
Game over.
Wow.
He made that look so easy.
He did.
He did this to Artemiev before, yeah?
Yeah.
He made it look so easy. Wow.
What a complete crush. But I tell you, in the pairing of these games, Carlsen against Dubov, and now this Artemiev against Carlsen, I find fascinating. And in some ways, similar games. Black turned to the king side, used that H-pawn, and cracked open the position. They're two absolutely classical kingside attacks. Beautiful. And as you mentioned, incredible to see Carlsen using that experience and turning it to his advantage. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. Again, he showed some great understanding there. He did give up 2 pawns. Let's not forget that. And that is not just showing great understanding, it's showing extreme confidence and in your position, because to give up 2 pawns, if it doesn't work, you lose. So you either have to be very confident with your calculations, everything. But I think the main point, Danny, is that I was talking about this F and G pawns being potential strengths of White, but White's king was too weak, and he just left that knight on e4. And the knight on e4, the spider, the octopus on e4, was the killing piece in the end.
Yeah, and just a few kind of magical touches around here. We were looking at this with Queen e1, and so we were thinking, hang on, what's going on? Is this is Artemiev turning it around? Okay, well, let's look at the magical touches. Queen d8, nice little subtle step back. Not bothered about that pawn on c6. Next touch, h3.
Amazing move, that one, I have to say. I mean,
beautiful move.
It just discombobulates White so much. That's my most favourite word in the English dictionary, Danny, just in case you're wondering.
Discombobulate.
I love discombobulate. It's lovely.
I think if we're going to define it, all we need to do is just show them this position. It's discombobulation. It's discombobulation in the nation.
Yeah. I'm not going to start rapping now. We tried that yesterday. It went wrong, right? The musical thing. Where did it go wrong? Don't put yourself down, Danny. You weren't that bad. You were okay.
I think the operative word there is that, not that bad.
No, come on. I know you were good. But I actually, I'm a bit annoyed the way you got rid of the guitars. Not annoyed, but I'm like, come on, Danny. It was good. It was good, man. It was like every day.
Feeling a bit embarrassed. Okay. But anyway, this is beautiful. Just ditching 2 pawns to get this position. I'm curious to see. Okay, so let's just quick recap of what happened at the end. So Queen e2, Rook c8, very clever move. So all right, it appears like Rook c1 was probably a big mistake, because after this, well, let's say he should have ditched the exchange. So let's have a quick look what goes on here. Rook takes or pawn takes. Let's go rook take.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
It's just this knight on e4 is just
it's a great piece, isn't it?
And even though, White hasn't really got rid of any of his problems, Black's sort of winning a bit of material. Okay, you could say it's kind of he is winning material, but White's still got the same problems. His weakened king.
If the rook comes across, then we can double on the c file. And that looks pretty tasty. And if the rooks are taken, well, obviously queen takes impossible because of queen e3 check. And otherwise, that pawn actually could just go all the way, considering that White's queen needs to defend this. It's that knight. What a killer piece. It is a beautiful piece. And not to mention, of course, the basic idea of knight f6 hitting e3. So it looks fantastic. So if we come back here, so that move bishop c4 looks just incredibly powerful. So what about taking? So this, we thought, this looked incredibly strong, but let's just check it out. So what if I swing the rook over? Let's play here. Rook c2, or have we got something better? It's still not so clear, of course.
It's not so clear. It's just a tough position, right, to play. I mean, you got to grovel here, right? Knight g5 coming, bang.
Yeah, bishop e1. Maybe the queen needs a better square. Queen h6, and then knight g5. How's that?
I mean, even moves like bishop c4, trying to wriggle that way.
Yeah.
Where that's the only one not partying at the moment.
Actually, bishop c4. Yeah, that's the move. That's the move. Forcing move. So the rook sort of move to a worse square, and then
you can put something on f2 here if you want to.
Okay, he's going to have to take it, but maybe queen h4 is probably better, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. White can't move anything. Black's pieces are so phenomenally strong, and I mean, Danny, we're going to bring up a little tweet in a minute, but all I can say about that game was just brilliant. I mean, Vladislav Artemiev is such a strong player. He was made to look weak in that game, and that, I'm not meaning that disrespectful. That just shows how good Magnus is, right? I mean, he played a good opening, sure, but it wasn't a winning opening, and he just played some fantastic chess there. I mean, really impressive, Danny.
I think it's the fact that he, it's around about here where, it's starting to get complicated. But the speed with which Magnus found this idea of ditching these pawns,
amazing.
I think that is brilliant.
Amazing.
Because that
definitely
totally just turned the screw. And suddenly 2 pawns down, but all the pressure is on Artemiev. But Magnus didn't hesitate to go for this. I think really, really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one question I haven't asked you so far, Danny, but I'll say that for another moment. I do want to maybe bring up the World Championships with Nepo and your prediction that at some point during the next couple of days, because that's coming up quite shortly. But we do now have, and let's just bring up a tweet and a question that Chess24 have posted on their Twitter page. And this is open to everyone watching on YouTube and on Twitch, and you get a chance to win a pretty awesome prize here. And the awesome prize is a chessable course, and they're worth a hell of a lot of money. You look at that; it's a very good price. But the question is, what new technology would help chess? The only thing I'm going to say about that is, by the way, that is just look at that. It's called gchess.com. That subliminal messaging there. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing else. Just in case, gchess.com. In case you're wondering, but what new technology would help chess? And that's a very good question. So if you want to get involved, I would try to answer that tweet. Get on Twitter. You can start an account, and you can win some very decent prizes there. And while you think about that, while you have, just have a little thought. What would you like to see technology-wise that could help you, help chess, help anything? We're just going to bring up a little 45-second adverts, and we're going to bring in our special guest of the day. So we'll be back very soon. Anyway.
Hey guys.
Fresh, so new.
Freedom!
It's all for you.
All for you. Freedom!
Keep your ear to the ground.
Talking about freedom!
It's the best show in town.
Best show in town. Freedom!
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Air Things. Breathe better. Live better.
Okay, so we're back, and we had a lot of guesses who our special guest was going to be. And apart from Sharon Stone, it's probably my most favourite person to see. And someone did guess Sharon Stone, so that was really safe.
That is some of your close relatives, I guess, who really know the workings of your inner mind. And the workings of your inner mind are now scaring me more than ever, Simon.
It was a very good film. That's all I'm going to say. Basic Instinct, very good film.
But it also kind of dates you horribly, because I'm sure half of our audience has no idea what we're talking about.
It's actually worryingly old film, isn't it now? Yeah, I mean, I was certainly a youngster when I saw it. Oh my words, yeah. Yes, anyway, Peter, hello. So how are you doing? Are you all good?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm very sorry that I missed game one, honestly, because that would have been a pleasure to talk about. But I did need my 4 espressos. I just don't function before that happens.
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I had to run get some coffee and.
So just a recap. You were in Kansas, and now you're back.
I was never in Kansas. I was in Kansas City. I was actually, the person I was visiting was very unhappy that we were giving a wrong impression.
Oh dear! Oh, we got in trouble.
I was in Kansas City, Missouri.
Right, and that is the fountain, the king of fountain place, not Kansas. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense actually. And where are you now? You're back in St. Louis, Peter.
I'm back in
right?
St. Louis, yeah.
Okay. And you've got the Fisher Random, is that right? Tournament starting soon?
Yeah, that starts in 4 days. There's
4 days.
also
okay.
The Ultimate Moves, the thing that often precedes the 960. Yeah. So there's some final chess to be played, and then I get to see my family for about 2 days.
Okay, and then only 2 days, and then where
Euro clubs.
Okay.
All things being equal, I will play the Euro clubs these days. Okay. Obviously, with with the travel and everything, you're never entirely sure you're playing anything. But as things stand,
where is the Euro clubs? Where's it taking place?
I think it's in Skopje this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice place to go. So yeah. And so that, I mean, the first game, Peter, I mean, just before the second game starts, it looked pretty impressive from our eyes how Magnus did that. I mean, where did White go wrong? I mean, what are your main thoughts on that game?
I looked at it very, very briefly, and I will actually just switch the engine right off, because it will annoy me if I have it barking at me. But for me, I mean, we sort of know what the decisive mistake was, because I mean, at least I do, because I normally don't switch it off early enough these days. Rook AC1 just loses the game at the very, very end. I don't know exactly what. I mean, he was playing on very, very little time, Vladislav, at this point, so. My suspicion is that maybe it kind of fell out of his field of vision that the e3 pawn will be hanging in the end. Maybe he thought he can go rook cc8 and create a mating threat of his own. Because once you allow bishop takes g4, you're dead. Like for a player of his strength, it's not that he thought bishop d2 was very clever, knight takes d2, rook c8, and he gives mate. I'm very sure he understood bishop takes g4 will win the game. But I think maybe when he was playing rook ac1, he thought after king h7 there is rook cc8, and when they got there and he realized apart from bishop takes g4, queen takes e3 is also a threat, which just gives mate on the spot. And instead of all that, instead of rook ac1, you can take on c8, and I think the machine goes queen f1 here or something, queen f3 maybe, in some order, and this is very playable for White apparently somehow.
Still okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know exactly what the evaluation is, but this appears to be holding, and in fact, I'm not even sure Black is better. For me, one of the more interesting points of the game was the move h4, h3. I got to that point in the game, and I thought this might not be correct, but this is such an interesting concept. We're giving away a second pawn here in a position where we're doing quite well positionally, just to make sure that there's this stupid bishop on h3 instead of a pawn, basically. Because I think that the entire justification for this idea is Magnus did not want Vladislav to be able to stabilize on the king side with the move h2, h3, which makes attacking the king much slower and much more difficult for Magnus. So he spends a full pawn and arguably maybe even a tempo to lure the bishop onto the square, where now it's going to be, because g4 is perpetually weak, it's going to be very difficult for white to bring it back and play h3 again. So you are up playing, you're now two pawns up, but you are playing sort of not piece down. Obviously, it actually performs some functions on h3, but it's a very, very awkward position for that particular bishop. I did not catch exactly how much time Vladislav had here, but since he had like seconds 2 moves ago, I would assume it was also done against somebody.
Yeah, he was down to he was under. I think he was around about a minute. I mean, it was he was desperately short time. But I mean, I found this whole concept of ditching these 2 pawns incredibly impressive by Magnus, because it's like he senses the moment to go for it, and you know his match fitness, you know, his sense of the critical moments in the game, I think is so impressive.
Yeah, and the sacrifice of the pawn on c6 was absolutely correct. This one, I promise I will no longer look, but this one the machine sort of disagrees with.
All right, but in practical terms,
yeah, but against somebody on a minute, this is just extremely strong, because it throws all of the sort of the preconceptions Vladislav may have had about his next few moves. He probably, you know, he had some kind of a plan of what he was intending to do next, and h3, bishop h3, queen g5 just throws all of it out of the window.
But by the way, guys, just so you know, the next game has started. So they have a couple of moves coming through there, and interesting wise, Vladislav's gone for the Tarash there, which is something we don't see that often really anymore.
They've been playing versions of the Sharagening, right? But not in this move order. I assume, this is just going to be a pure Tarash.
Yeah.
And in a way, game 1 was sort of a Tarash, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So with a pawn on e3, right? So
with a pawn on e3 and a pawn on a6, and I was wondering who is supposed to be benefiting from that. But I am just such a horrible Tarash player myself, so I have no way of telling.
Do you know the move I always used to play here before computers said it was absolute rubbish, or maybe I used to love the e4 move here. This is maybe something. I
would have guessed out of one. Yes.
and then bishop c4. This is like it's you get some really funky games in this. It's
I'm actually surprised it's bad. I would say, you know, if you ask me in 2021, I would assume this equalizes.
Yeah, I
wouldn't think like this better, but I would assume it's equalizing.
Yeah, I had so much fun playing this. It's only playable in blitz games now. I think Black gives the pawn on f7, unfortunately, and you know does some things here. But the point is, you take on d4, queen b3. This is the deadly blitz weapon. Wow. If anyone wants to try this, and this is actually very scary for Black now. This position, in actual fact, but again, it's not sound, unfortunately, but it's fun little gambit line. So, yeah,
very interesting.
Do you know
I've never actually seen that.
Yeah, I remember. It's an idea. It's probably like 20, 30 years old, even. You know, something I was trying to learn d4, and I was like, oh, that looks like fun. So
why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's gone instead. It takes on c5 and now d4.
This is somewhat interesting to me because, I mean, the resulting positions, and once again, I'm not entirely sure whether it's here because Black can decline to win the pawn back. But if Vladislav actually does play bishop takes c5 here, the advantage White has in those types of positions, obviously it's possible to misplay any kind of a symmetrical structure like this, where what will, in most likelihood, end up happening is that the e2 pawn gets traded for the d4 pawn as well. We can probably just put it on the board. Bishop c5, knight c5, check. I think you can play both bishop d2 and queen d2 actually, but let's say bishop d2, doesn't matter. Queen takes c5, some sort of e3.
Immediately, even
either immediately or we include knight f3. I don't know exactly what the move orders are here, but the point is, the resulting positions are potentially a little bit better for White, of course, with the two bishops against the bishop and knight, but they're not really very much.
Yeah, I've played this as White, and it can burn out very quickly, actually.
And it's an interesting choice by Magnus because on one level he never, he all his life he's enjoyed positions with a small but stable advantage. So I don't think he will, hate the resulting positions at all. But also, it's a kind of a how shall we say? He passes the option to Vladislav here a little bit because Vladislav is trailing, and this is not a must-win game. He still has a white game in the next one if this one is drawn, but the situation in the set is obviously not ideal, having lost the white game in game one. And there are some gambits here which you can go for instead.
You can just kind of leave this, can't you? And whoops, that was a total misfire. Yeah, you can just develop, but the only ever time I've had this is as white is actually in Simmels. And sometimes sometimes your opponent just sort of ditches the pawn and gets the pieces out. And there's a bit of activity, but
I'm trying to remember. There's definitely some lines in which black plays b5, c takes b6, a takes b6, but I'm struggling to remember which move order that is. Maybe after knight c6, knight f3, there are some positions in which you can try playing b5 and turning into a full-fledged gambit. One thing this has done though is it won Magnus 3 minutes and counting so far.
Yeah, that's very true, and this seems to be Artemiev's slight issue actually.
He does get. I mean, him, Grishchuk, and David Howell are very, very similar like this. Obviously, all very talented, natural players, but they burn a lot of time early on. Each of these. I'm sort of quite memorized by Magnus Carlsen's chair as well. I'm wondering how many pieces of clothing he's got on the back of his chair. Have you noticed that? Is that just a jumper? Or is it a jumper, a t-shirt? It looks like he's got a lot. Yeah, I mean, looks like he needs to employ a maid there. I'm going to say it. Lots of pieces of clothing on that chair. So, just to go a little bit off topic, but yeah, I don't know if you can see the video. So,
I can see it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not the chair he's sitting on, though, right? I think that's behind. I think that's a bed behind him.
Is it behind him? Okay. Yeah, I was trying to work it out. It can't be the chair he's sitting on. So, oh dear.
It's a bit of green screen trickery.
It is. Yeah. I'm just trying to work out. So. By the way, b5 was played immediately in the position, which is a bold move there. Very bold move.
Well, that's what he's been calculating.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. Okay, well, I assume he's gonna. Okay, he's
you have to recapture, and now you have to pay some sort of attention to the knight on a4, right? Because bishop b4 check and b5 are both very strong threats. So, b3 played more or less instantly. Magnus never. These days, you just don't catch Magnus doing any of these things without some work being put in. The weird seeming sidelines. So yeah, he knows he's supposed to play b3 here. You can drive the knight back to b2, but it
probably where it wants to be anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're driving it towards.
Yeah. But I suppose I suppose the c3 square is something that black might be aiming for. But how quickly you can get in there? I mean, obviously not instantly, but I'm just pointing out the possibility.
I mean, knight to a6 looks very logical here, right? And just trying to get some quick development going.
Yeah, and
say bishop b4 and castling as well.
Quick is the operative word. Artemiev's still burning time.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
it's crazy. We're on move 8. He's under 10 minutes now.
Yeah, I mean, he's taken what I think is the correct decision to make this game as sharp as possible, but I think quite clearly, without really knowing very much about the position, just on sort of general, my match situation is this is much more interesting and much more dynamic than my other option, so let's go for it. But
Okay, well, let's play a few moves. Let's see how both players want to play.
Yeah.
So knight f3, I assume.
I assume knight f3. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to defend that, and now, okay, how are we going to play this? Are we going to play g3, or do we risk?
You did have knight e4 there, Danny. Was knight e4?
Knight e4 straight away.
Well, wow. I mean, I can think about it maybe.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to give up a pawn. I'm going to try and come quickly.
That's
I'm trying to figure out if I can maybe play queen d3. It's an awkward move, but I want to start, attacking some of these pieces as early as possible. Okay. And if you give a check, I want to go knight d2.
Okay, very, very sharp already.
Yeah, and I have some, specifically against bishop b4 check, I have some queen b5 shenanigans you have to pay attention to now.
This is an incredibly messy position, right?
Yeah, but it is. Who knows what this is?
Knight c3, I don't know.
Yeah,
this going on here.
This looks pretty dangerous, but well, you got.
This is. I don't know. It looks really scary.
I mean, you got a queen e4 after takes. Is that? I don't know.
My God.
It's all getting a bit random, isn't it? So, but maybe black's okay anyway.
Also d takes c3. Honestly, dc3, queen e4, and then queen e7 maybe, and look at white quizzically.
yeah.
Okay.
I think knight e4 looks scary. I mean,
okay, so let's go back. I'm suddenly thinking, wow, I better take this one seriously. Knight e4 is
it's
very dangerous.
Very dangerous move.
Yeah, not so simple.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we're supposed to, damp down on all this.
Yeah, exactly.
As I'm dead.
So what if I play let's engage straight away? What if I play e3?
Mm-hmm.
Because at least I can I'm developing with a tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, actually. Yeah.
Well, looking at those previous variations, which look completely scary.
I mean, I'm guessing a check and taken on e3 is nonsense, right? I mean,
I was trying to calculate that. Yeah. Before ef, king f2, and then maybe knight.
Some knight check, but
but I think it goes back to e1, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably nonsense, but.
Okay, I'm.
We are already attacking with a knight here, so it's probably not going to quite work in this position. But bishop's very good on b4.
I suddenly thought, oh my God, you've Albin counter gambited me.
Yes, common kind of trick, isn't it? So maybe a bit too much though, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can play knight to e4 again. I mean, you've got to check. You've got to check on b5 though, as you mentioned, which is actually very useful, right? This check on b5. That's probably maybe that just stops everything. So maybe means knight e4 doesn't work.
Okay, well let's just try anyway. So takes here, and I assume queen. No,
we have queen takes d4. No, Danny. After bishop d7, we just win with queen takes d4.
Oh, queen d4. Yeah. That one's that's a lot cleaner.
I'm assuming that's winning.
Yeah, I think this kills off.
Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Bishop takes b5.
I was just looking at this.
You still got bishop b4.
No, but we're not taking on a8. Yeah, we're not allowed.
Don't take on a8. that's one step too far.
We can show that.
You've got to show this.
That's embarrassing.
It's a nice check. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess bishop a3 although bishop a3, bishop c6 might not be that clean, actually. Yeah, this is less, specifically because of bishop c6, this is less clean than I thought. Because I thought I can... Yeah.
Sorry, Peter, you mentioned earlier you think Magnus had probably had looked at this line before. It's the kind of position where, generally, I think most players would love to have against Magnus if it wasn't all prepared previously. Some dynamic position with lots of chances with the pieces flying in. I would imagine. So,
yeah, it's not like he's incapable of calculating though.
Sure.
Even without prep, if this position is objectively good for white, which I suspect it might be, I think you assume he will be able to work it out to some degree of reasonable. Yeah, I can't pronounce words today. Yeah, I tried twice. That's
This is mad. Artemiev is he's
spending too much time
down to 5 minutes. I mean, I think Magnus must be just thinking.
What's he thinking of, though? I mean,
Yeah.
what can he be thinking of in this position? I mean, I mean, is he thinking of maybe B5 helps him put the knight on B2 before he plays this, something like that? Or
He hasn't disconnected, has he? This is a serious question because his screen
it might be frozen. Aha.
This could be a disconnect. Maybe we can try and find out. But that's my only thought, because you can't spend so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems if there are some internet issues, that would be extremely regrettable, because the first game was fantastic, and this position is, I mean, we're 6 moves in, but it could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is a disconnect by what we're hearing. You can see the video's frozen.
Yeah.
And it'll be a sad position disconnecting, because it's actually starting to get very interesting here as well, right? Yeah. What are the rules of this disconnect? So I think if you...
I've played in some of these, and I think I'm not sure how seriously players take it, but you were at some point shipped like a 4G USB modem and instructed to get a SIM card for that as a kind of a backup if your home internet decides to go on a blink. So you always are supposed to have some alternative ways of connecting, and it seems like moves are coming in. So
moves
well, that's good. That's positive. So
okay, good. But yeah, I mean, if he did have a disconnect and lost a lot of time, then of course that's very, very unfortunate. But I mean, hopefully we can try and find out what happened anyway. So this is on the board.
Yeah, it's interesting that he instantly took on d2 here instead of playing bishop c3. I assumed the whole point was to play bishop c3, but Vladislav disagrees.
Let's just have a quick look at that, Peter. Just let me put it on the board. Sure. So bishop c3. Okay.
Yeah, I thought I'm guessing maybe he doesn't really like the idea of getting the queens off. But if the queens off, if the queens come off at the cost of connecting those pawns and creating this passer on c3, I wouldn't be that unhappy about this with black. Like knight d3, bishop f5, or I don't know which move is the best here, but bishop f5 is the one that appeals to me the most, just to create a very strong threat of bishop takes d3 and then b5, b4. This looks like a very unclear endgame to me.
Yeah. So in practical terms, it's not simple for white to play.
Not at all. I'm not saying what he played is bad at all. I think what he played is also potentially very, very decent. But yeah, you have to ask yourself, if we assume there was at least some internet issues, thrown into the tanking. I mean, he does like to think. We don't know that he's been, struggling with internet there. It's just, I mean, the quality of the connection definitely did go down at some point because the video froze. We have seen the video freeze, but if there was some of that, I mean, anybody would get at least a little bit flustered, and decisions for the next few moves could be influenced by you having to run around your flat trying to figure out why there's suddenly no spark and nothing is working.
Okay, well, still got to deal with issues of knight e4.
And we could play both e3 and knight f3, I think, here, because knight e4, queen takes d4 will work in both cases. I'm pretty sure that's probably
wow. E4 is
whoa.
Yeah.
That is quite striking. Yeah, that is quite striking.
So
I honestly was about to. Yeah, I was about to say your mouse skills need some. I legit thought that was your misclick. sorry, Danny.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm a bit wayward, but this one is actually real. Wow, very, very interesting. So it just means that if it's taken, then we can check, and yeah, there's potential to pin.
Yeah. I guess his point is he's expecting black to castle. Black probably would have castled against e3 as well. Nobody is going to protect the pawn on d4 or the pawn on b5. Black needs to play, as energetically as possible here. So I'm pretty sure castles just happens instantly here. And he wants the pawn on e4 so that he could play f3 and establish a center, which is not that easy to challenge.
Okay, So this is interesting in that yeah, things could open. I mean, I was just wondering about the endgame actually. Just playing the endgame takes a knight c6.
Yeah, takes, but maybe we throw in the check. I don't know if we need to.
Yeah, I don't know which way round, but
yeah,
anyway.
let's go knight c6. I like knight c6. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's start with this.
And knight b4, potentially rook e8.
Yeah, I as usual with 2 pawns up, you would assume that, you know, if white doesn't pretend he is better, he probably equalizes here by returning some material. But yeah, my impression would be you're not even supposed to pretend you're better here for a second.
Yeah, not so simple. So you think after e4 castles, you think simply f3 or maybe bishop d3? I don't know which.
Yeah, bishop d3 is also a move. I didn't even consider it, and you know, in my mind, that square is kind of designated for the knight on b2. But
sure,
there's definitely. I think one argument against bishop d3 is that you probably after rook e8 have to play f3 anyway. So we have committed to something we might not have to commit to just yet.
Yeah, that could be potentially an issue, couldn't it? Okay, so you think just f3 straight away?
Yeah, I quite like just starting by playing f3. The pawn on b5, you know, now that I've sort of stabilized in the center, the pawn on b5 is arguably hanging. I wouldn't mind, you know, developing a piece while also picking up a healthy pawn on the queen side.
Yeah,
and my next move. Yeah, I want to go.
Rook e8, bishop b5 is a nice tempo actually.
That obviously is a huge improvement over having the bishop on d3.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to play like, I don't know, knight e2, knight g3, and then kind of rethink with everything absolutely stable in the center. I will think again.
Yeah.
E4 is very interesting though.
It's very solid, isn't it? So actually, Artemiev has taken and bishop b5 check.
Yeah. So what are we doing here? Are we playing? I think we have to play something like bishop d7. I don't think we can afford to play king f8. Okay, so we're playing something like bishop d7, queen d4 castles, I guess.
Queen d4 castles. There's also queen b5 check. Is
queen e5 check also exists. Yeah, absolutely.
Queen b5, b4 takes. Okay, we've got this madness with queen e4 check again.
Kind of like that. Can we put this on the board for a second? So queen a5 check before we pick it up, and we go king d8 in this position.
Ah, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, the issue is we actually have no strong checks after king d1, which is kind of really funny.
Okay,
but maybe just queen takes b4 here or whatever.
Yeah, this
and you know
that's quite serious.
Yeah, one of the more bizarre positions I've seen in recent.
Okay, so probably not queen takes d4 in this case. All right, so
there was queen f1 apparently. Yeah.
Queen f1. Yeah, that's true. All right.
Kingfisher is very upset with me.
Let's take here.
If you take here, I probably will take with the queen because the pawn on d4 is kind of dear to my heart here. I don't want to give it up without a very serious reason. So let's take with the queen.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just show that. So knight takes. Queen.
I don't think this is unplayable. I just don't know if it's required.
Yeah, so check can be met by b4 in this case.
we can always play b4 there. Yeah.
Okay, so queen takes. Now the queen is on.
Yeah, queen goes somewhere. I assume maybe f4.
Okay, so castle's kingside.
Castles, and we play knight f3, I think. And actually f4 might be a bad square because now I can play knight c3 and stop you from castling. We probably have to choose a different square. I don't know which one though.
Yeah, this is not so clear actually.
Not at all, no.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, he's down to 3 minutes though, which is going to be a problem eventually. And if some of that was to do with dodgy internet, you have to really regret that, obviously, as viewers, and because this is a fabulous game to watch, and you don't want it marred by outside issues. But such is the nature of online chess. There's nobody's to blame. It's definitely not Magnus's fault that internet on the other side of the world is glitching.
Okay, well, let's look at the options here. So e2, d3, f4.
Before, but no, yeah, before doesn't really make any sense, forcing black to play knight c6, a move that they want to play anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe c2 actually.
C2.
Come to think of it.
The fifth one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's castle.
Yeah. Castle's knight f3. Yeah, this is my point. I really need to create a threat of castles here. And I like knight f3 more than knight e2 for reasons unexplained. Maybe actually with the queen on c2, maybe we can go knight e2. But yeah, whatever. Whichever one you like better, Danny. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know which one I like better. I mean, I'm trying to sort of fathom what Black is trying to do here. Actually, it's gone in a completely different direction.
Yeah,
he did take on d7. He's played queen b4 and now knight c3.
Yeah, queen b4. We kind of automatically took on d7 there, when this move definitely existed, and that's a bit on us. Knight c3 I quite like because it forces white to commit to something. I assume bishop takes d7 because if you play something like bishop d3, you allow more tempi to come in with knight c6, and your queen actually gets.
Okay, we'll take here and
queen takes. I assume.
Queen takes and yeah, this is on the board now. If knight f3, is a check possible there?
I don't know if we should be driving. Yeah, I don't think we want that. I think we want to drive the queen away from them.
Yeah, so we'll go knight c6.
Yeah, and then castle next move. Where does the queen go? I guess it goes to c4 here, right?
Yeah, so c5, there's still rook a5.
Yeah, there's still rook a5. We're not staying on the diagonal.
Let me just show that. So here looks like the problem. So that in that case, practically the only move. Now,
but it seems like there's no good way for black to prevent white from castling. You can play queen e7 check, but I think it's hugely detrimental to your own game plan, because after king f1, for instance, you have to spend tempi on protecting the knight on c6, and also rook e1 check is coming, so you've made your position significantly worse. And they've moved. Whoa, what happened there?
Okay, so it's gone knight c6, rook e1 check, king d8.
No, but he played king f1 instead of knight f3 or anything.
Takes king f1.
He played king f1 here, which is stunning.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good though. I don't know if he needed to. Maybe he did, but it wasn't immediately obvious to me that he needed to.
So it's gone knight c6, rook e1,
king d8,
king d8. Now queen b6 is an option.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess we can just go queen c7, honestly, because we have so much like Volga type counterplay against the white queen side.
Yeah, let's just show that. So that's very interesting. So
takes. Our chat informs us that king f1 was the best move according to the engine.
Really? Wow.
Showing once again, how little do we know here.
Yeah, but I mean, so impressive if that's so, then for Magnus to play, the engine move, which is absolutely not clear.
My current favorite comment of the day goes to, quote, "If only Jankoc, sideways bonk cloud."
I beg your pardon. Could you repeat that, please?
Sideways bonk cloud.
A sideways bonk cloud.
Is that bringing back your student days, Danny?
Okay, so queen c5. Okay, this is on the board.
Yeah, I missed the KW. I apologize. Without the KW, it doesn't quite work. Anyway, sorry. Somebody needs to pay attention to our, the best chat in existence. So
So this seems a wild position. I mean, I just had a quick break, and yeah, I mean, it's very hard to assess this, right? But
I don't know. I quite like black. I'm very happy taking black here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, rook a5, as you mentioned, or even rook takes a2 is possible.
Yeah. I think we need to figure out where we want the white queens to be, whether we want it to drive it to c4 or we're okay with it being on c5.
I'm just looking at these pieces. My goodness, when are these? When is the rook on h1 going to come into the game? Not for a little while.
Not for a little while, yeah.
Yeah.
This is very very curious to me, because I don't think Magnus needed to allow much of what happened here.
I mean, let's say you take on a2, as he has done.
Yeah,
I mean,
the knight goes to d3, I'm pretty sure, just to stabilize, because you need to cover the f2 pawn. You might end up getting mated somehow if you don't. And then the question is, how do you make progress for black? Because for white, I guess my immediate plans are, g3, king g2, developing the knight on g1 somewhere. h4, rook h3, I think is too slow. I don't think that happens. I think the way for white to bring the h rook into the game is to connect the rooks by playing g3, king g2. And black has now equaled the material, restored the balance. So I think it should be quite obvious that black is a bit better here, at least because of the more active pieces, better development, the passer on d4, very strong knight on c3, all of these things. But if you give white a couple of moves to stabilize, all of this will go away. So you have to be fast, and I'm not sure how you are supposed to be.
I mean, you'd like to play rook d2, but that's impossible, right? After knight d3. So
why is it impossible?
Is there a check? I think there's a check on.
Oh, there's a check on g5. Yeah, I've completely blundered that.
Otherwise, this could be quite a useful way to play. I feel
that's a very nice resource, actually. Queen g5.
Yeah, queen g5 check is. And you could maybe make an argument that was a reason to include rook a5 to drive the queen to c4. But then the knight on d3 will be protected. So, it's definitely not as clear cut as all that.
Okay, so is he also thinking about, knight c4 is the only other option, I guess?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would be very reluctant to play knight c4, but it's a more active square, and I guess it deserves some thought. But yeah, I'd be.
So if you played rook e8 after knight
exactly,
something like this, try to get rid of the rook on e1, keep some tension. I mean, that might be a logical move to play.
Absolutely, yeah. I like this quite. I guess knight f3, right? We keep things connected.
Yeah, that's nice. It's he's gone knight d3, by the way.
Yeah, and if you take on e1, I will take with the f knight, and all of my pieces will stay sort of in touch with each other. Very important.
That's a kind of belt and braces approach, isn't it? It's just everything is sort of protected.
Yeah. Well, I think you're kind of have to.
It's on the board. It's on the board.
Is that right? Rook e8 played, knight f3. I mean, I'd like to play queen e7 at the end of that, and just keep it simple. I was
going to say, yeah.
But I don't know if. I mean,
maybe we can actually take on c6.
Can you take on c6? Yeah, it looks like you shouldn't be able to do this, but maybe.
I guess it's a draw, right? Queen takes d3 and then some sort of perpetual.
What?
Yes.
Good God.
I think white probably has to take the perpetual, right?
Yeah, white is definitely not better here. It's
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, black has to be very careful because there could be a check on e5 and then you can take it.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that hasn't gone like that. It's gone rook a5 instead.
Rook a5. I guess we don't need to take on e8. We can go queen c4. I don't know who is happier about the king being on e8 here. But yeah, it seems like queen c4, rook e1 has been played. He will once again, of course, take with the f knight. And whoa, okay.
Maybe if you took the f knight, then the queen come. Does it make it? Oh, no, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the king. I thought the king was going to be very safe on g2. I'm a bit surprised by this, but yeah, Magnus, I assume knows what he's doing. But to my eyes, taking with the f knight made more sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's still, I suppose, has this one in mind anyway.
He's keeping. Yeah, of course, just king g2 is on the agenda, and he's also sort of pretending he is threatening to take on d4.
I mean, look at the time situation, guys, as well. I mean, like, it should be that black's got a nice position, I feel, here, but Vladislav has under a minute left, that's a nice last move, though, stopping g3, I guess. Or maybe not stopping it, but
discouraging it heavily, yeah.
Maybe have a very nice rook. Can I just point out, if you go g3, maybe there's a rook c5 or something, which could be quite nasty.
Nice, yeah. There's not g2 there, though, so you have to start with the check, right? You start with the check.
Right.
Drive the king to g1 and then start chasing the. But something like rook a2 might just be. Rook a2 knight takes d4, though. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. But looks like black could just be winning by force here.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I don't think we can.
No,
D3 is too ugly for words, isn't it? Queen D7, very very neat move.
Yeah, I want to ask. Yeah, is knight takes D4 completely unplayable or not? It's a kind of a bold choice, but it's an important pawn. So if this doesn't lose, the thing is, I think I can take with the queen, and after queen takes C6, somewhat shockingly, there's not a single check being threatened. So maybe rook A1 just wins here, with the idea of rook takes E1 and queen D1 mate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would kind of be surprising. Anyway, it's gone H4 and queen D5.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's similar to the endgame that Simon and I were trying to get in a slightly different position, but yeah, now the rook has come out, and very importantly for Magnus, rook C5 now runs into knight takes D4, so you cannot really attack the pawn on C4 straight away. I assume black is still a little bit better, but it feels like
this feels like it's kind of stabilized for white, because it's hard to get through the D3.
And also, I think another very important tactic here. I wanted to go knight E4 here, but I think it allows knight takes D4.
Okay, that's nice. It feels like one of these studies.
Yeah. That does feel kind of study like. It's still probably a draw of some sort.
Oh, this is on the board.
It's
gone. Sorry, let me just catch up.
Is it liquidating now?
It's liquidating, so it's gone.
Right.
Takes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because Magnus is playing against 35 seconds, and also he is Magnus, he's not taking on C6 here. He's going knight F5, attacking G7 and F7 by proxy. So he's even going to push here.
Yeah, interesting choice. Yeah, let's just show that. So, of course, he can exchange, and we're heading towards a draw, but he's playing for more with knight F5.
Okay.
Well, I think he correctly understands he is no longer risking anything at all, and it's actually I don't think you can protect the.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a full piece blunder or something. Yeah, the game is just finished.
Oh wow, what's happened there?
Oh, good grief!
Oh,
Yeah,
my
so
words.
Rook C5, knight B7, and
He just missed knight D6.
yeah.
I think he missed knight B7. I think he missed knight B7.
Oh, wow. Well, I think they need to change the screenshot of Vladislav after that move potentially.
Yeah,
he probably should be.
Game over.
Oh wow, that was such a nice game as well, in a lot of ways that he played there. That's such a bad way to lose. Such a bad. I mean, good choice of Magnus to play on at the end there. Lots of people just taking the draw. Okay, let's get on with the next one. But he plays. But I mean, still, that is a horrendous blunder there. Really, I mean,
I feel really sorry for Artemiev,
yeah, definitely.
Because he played in such an enterprising way.
Yeah,
he got a very
more.
decent position.
I agree. Yeah, I mean,
it should be a draw, but there's still a few questions.
Yeah, I guess you play something like 94 and you play for activity. You just give up on G7 and start throwing your knights at them.
Yeah, maybe we throw in a check just to put the king. Oh no, D6 is yeah. I'm trying to angle for something here. I'm trying to push the king in this direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you give me additional tempi after like king C7, knight G7, knight E5. I get some additional tempi attacking your rook. I assume black saves this. I think there's enough activity here to hold, but yeah, losing this position is going to sting so.
That's going to be it's horrible. Yeah, I mean, especially when he's probably he has to be very happy with the position he had with black there. I mean, you're not often going to get a better position than that against Magnus in these events. So
yeah, let's go from the very top. I'm interested to recap this one.
I'd like to know if this B5 is actually a main move. I don't know this variation, but B5 seemed to be a very nice gambity move to play. Yeah, seemed logical. So yeah, definitely.
There's so many interesting variations, and you know, E4 very creative, and round here. King
just to let everyone know the score. I mean, the score at the moment is 2-0 to Magnus. I mean, this could be a really early day, guys. I mean, Magnus only needs to draw one of his next two games to go into the tomorrow with a win. So it's
and now that we've done the live commentary, I've as is my habit these days. I've cheated a little bit, and yeah, black is probably somewhat significantly better in this position. Queen d5 is where it started going slightly off the rails. Including rook a1 first is quite strong here.
So this is what the machine thinks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Rook a1 first, kind of discouraging rook h3 because then you're struggling to come out of the box a little bit. Okay. And if g3, which is another idea that has been prepared by playing h4, stopping queen h3 check, you can trade via the e6 square, which I think is quite clever. So you're offering the same trade, but if white trades, you connect your pawns, and the pawns will start.
And also, white's rook is now unable to get out in the same way it did before. Via h3.
And if you don't take on e6, if you play king g2 here, another I think potentially important detail is that you can take and play rook d1, just stopping the knight from even reaching the d3 square. And yeah, maybe white holds, but it's not going to be fun. We know this is not going to be fun.
Knight c2, yeah.
Knight c2, I think we take and we play.
The king is a long way from the middle. Yeah.
Maybe even d3 is playable here, to be entirely honest. And after knight c1,
very difficult.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So queen.
Knight e4 first, b3. That's probably good.
So queen d5 specifically allowing rook h3 allowed Magnus to get out of the corner, and I mean he's obviously not better, but at this point he's probably not losing the game anymore. But winning this position in 5 moves flat is of course
remarkable.
An unbelievable bonus. Yeah,
Peter, if you've got the machine on, what does the machine think of some position around here? How does it
machine disagrees with queen b4. This is you have to. I'm not running a strong machine, but the machine does say bishop takes d7 was wiser than queen b4.
Okay.
As we did. It doesn't say white is much better, but I think this is probably sort of risk-free for white. And after queen b4, knight c3, you already have to be quite careful.
Okay. Very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, but it's going to be tough now, isn't it? I mean, any explanation for that blunder at the end? It's been a long tournament. Internet problems.
One thing I will say is that I personally also missed knight b7 check. So I can see that happening because I did it myself. I thought, okay, if all else fails, we go g6, knight d6, rook c5, knight f7, king e7, and we hold. And then he resigned after knight d6, and I realized probably something in that chain of thought is not entirely right.
Yeah. How well do you know Vladislav, Peter? I mean, do you know him reasonably well? I mean, he's obviously an incredibly talented player.
Not as well as I mean, he's very young, and I mean, compared to me, most people are very young.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, this is a generation of Russian chess players that I know, some of them quite well and some of them not well at all. And we've never been close, but I obviously played a ton of tournaments with him. I played, I think, a couple of times for the same team with him, and he's a very interesting character. He is unlike most people you will meet, I think.
Okay, that's a very interesting comment.
We need to know more now.
In what way do you mean?
He's a very original guy. He has opinions. He's according to people who talk to him a lot of fun to talk to. I just I'm not one of those people, so I get those things secondhand. But he's a very, very interesting person, and obviously a very gifted chess player, like nobody.
I have to say, I mean, when he won Gibraltar, which we can also maybe talk about briefly, because there's a bit of news that the hotel where one of the biggest opens of the world is changing, so that it's a little bit in doubt whether the Gibraltar competition will continue. But which is a real shame. It's a fantastic competition. Brilliant.
If it doesn't, it's going to be a huge blow.
Yeah. Hopefully they can work something out. But when Vladislav won Gibraltar, I was commentating. He came on the commentary, and he was really humble. He was an incredibly humble person, and seemed to be a very nice chap then. And in some ways, he wasn't from the super confident guy that you might think these players all are. Because he's just won this fantastic competition. But something went wrong in that last game. I mean, I'm not sure what it was, but I mean, getting 2 out of 2 now, possible?
Yeah, people have actually won games on demand against Magnus, and in these competitions in particular, we've seen that done. But whenever that happens, you still feel like, whoa.
Yeah.
And 2 out of 2, in particular, with the way game 2 ended. Then again, like if he does win game 3, which is 1 game in a row, people have won 1 game in a row in the history of chess. He will immediately feel a lot better about life.
Yeah.
And that will improve his outlook for game 4. But obviously Magnus is a huge favorite to win the first set now.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a bit of time before the next round starts, maybe 5 minutes or so. And just before we maybe take a quick break, it'd be interesting to hear your views. I'm sure a lot of people have been asking about the World Championships. Just in, it's not too far away now. And I've asked quite a lot of players. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what odds they give. Magnus and what odds they give in general, really. I'll start off, and I think it's going to actually be very, very close. I don't know. I'd even go like 55% in Magnus's favor, maybe 60 if I'm pushing it. But I think it's going to be a fascinating World Championship match, personally, and I think it's going to be. It could go either way. It is my general feeling about the match.
But, I generally agree. I would. Yeah, if I were setting the line, I would be setting the line at around the same figures. But I think it's setting the line is not the most interesting thing to discuss here. I'm pretty sure. And one thing we kind of want, and arguably maybe even need, as the chess world after the last 2, which for me as a chess professional and somebody who enjoys the intricacies of top level chess, the last 2 World Championship matches were not disastrous at all. I covered both of them. I enjoyed covering them. There's always enough to talk about, and also covering only 1 game for 4+ hours gives you a lot of scope to just shoot the breeze, and that's always very enjoyable too in this job.
However, perhaps we should say that, and I agree with you, and I enjoyed the 2018 World Championship match very much. However, one could say perhaps one for the connoisseurs.
Yeah, but that's what I started with. That after the New York match, and then the match against Fabi, there's this perception that the cycle, in particular, some parts of the cycle, I would say, like the World Cup, for instance, gets rave reviews from spectators because there's something going on every day, and there's plenty of games to watch, at least until the very, very late stages. So, like, I think Magnus himself is on the record saying that, like, around the last 32 of the World Cup is like the absolute best competition in the world, because you get unbelievably high quality chess, but you get enough games to never be bored, and there is drama and excitement every day. And then we get to the pinnacle of sporting achievement, and you get those incredibly dry, incredibly theory heavy contests where decisive games are very thin on the ground. And I think we have as good a chance of this not happening this year as ever, I think.
Yeah.
And I think this is very good, because it's not that, I mean, we know Magnus, if he wants to, can play extremely solid, quote unquote correct chess, and just take his small EV edges wherever they may be. It's not that Jan is incapable of doing that. Of course he is. He is a very versatile player. He has been taking chess a lot more seriously in the last, I would say, maybe 5 years, maybe slightly less than that. Not that he, was ever an amateur, but he definitely had other and varied interests before that were occupying some of his time, and he's definitely cut down on some, if not most of that. And I know he's working very hard right now.
Yeah. And what would you say, Danny? Then, I mean, I mean, anyone who says, hello, Kevin, I totally disagree with you, Kevin, saying Nepo has no chance. That's just not true. It's simple as that. But what would you say, Danny, the percentage? Because I think there's a lot of factors that people have got to think about. I mean, obviously now they both play very interesting chess. Jan has a very good score against Magnus. Let's just remember that in general. He plays very interesting chess, and you've got to think about the team. You've got to think about how computers can help both sides. I mean, there's many different things I think to consider with this one, and I think it'll be very exciting. But yeah, Danny, I mean, how would you sort of price it up yourself?
Well, I mean, Nepo is a less even player than Fabiano. Yeah. So just in that sense, I think there's going to be more disturbance in the games. So, you know, I'm confident that we're going to get, decisive results in classical games, basically. I mean, my feeling after 2018 was that everything has slid too much in favor of the defense. And that, excuse me, that the increment actually weights everything too much towards defense. And that with greater increase in knowledge, in opening knowledge, excuse me, my voice is...
Danny, by the way, if you want, it was. Danny, just to let you know, if you want to get a drink, a cup of tea, we're hearing the game might start in a couple of minutes. So
just a second.
We can.
But do have a break, Danny, at any moment.
I was just to say that everything was tilted towards a defensive player, basically, and that's why there were so many draws. And that's my only fear, that it is very theory heavy. But because it's going to be less even, that gives me some confidence.
Yeah. Jan is definitely the most volatile player we've gotten to play a title match in quite some time.
Yeah, definitely. And if you think of Karyakin as well, the same applies there. So I think that gives me confidence.
But we're hearing we're going to take commercial in a second, just because the next game is going to start. So I think we probably should do that. I mean, just the other thing I was just thinking is, like, even if you look at the World Championships match with Karyakin, I mean, he could have easily won that World Championship match. So it was so fine margins with all it really was. It was not clear cut by any means. So it's going to be exciting, everyone, and we've got a lot to look forward to. But we'll take a quick commercial now, just so we can make sure we get the start of the next game in time.
So new. Freedom. It's all for you. All for you. Freedom. Keep your ear to the ground. Talking about the freedom. It's the best show in town. Best show in town. Freedom.
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Air Things. Breathe better. Live better.
Okay, we are back, and good timing as the game has started, and as we know, it's a must-win situation for Vladislav, and he comes out with his normal setup here, Peter. The Reti.
I don't think he does anything out of the ordinary. It's not even one game he has to win; it's two.
Yeah.
So just going for something completely incorrect with White in game 3 just makes no sense. Honestly, his normal style is reasonably well suited to what he's trying to do here, because the way he plays chess is he goes for positions where he might not have any advantage, but there's just play left to do, and trusts himself to be strong enough to play well in those spots. Once again, chess theory is a thing, so it's very possible, and Magnus is now doing something to perhaps not even allow any of that. The move order that Magnus has chosen here is Although, if white doesn't really care about achieving serious advantage, white definitely can find ways to play here without committing to long lines. And I'm also kind of curious as what Magnus will play in this particular position, because there's two very, very differing approaches here. You can play g6, which sort of equalizes if white does it the old way, but there's also a lot of extremely sharp lines starting with h4, as usual. The moment that the pawn appears on g6, these days you just automatically assume h4 is a move you can make.
Well, some people, Peter, have been playing this for years, not just nowadays.
Yeah.
But, it's true. The h4 is always a bit tricky, right? Against g6 setups.
Yeah, and in fact, g6 has been played, and h4 has immediately been the reply by Vladislav. I have a kind of a funny story on this topic. I think it's in this specific position. In Tromsø World Cup, I think 2013, I played Rajabov. Maybe in the last 16, I can't remember the stage of the tournament, and I won game 1 in some King's Indian, which is somewhat shocking. Because Rajabov is a good King's Indian player and I'm not, but I had the white pieces, so maybe that covers some of it. And then with black, he played this line against me, and there was reasonably soon after the candidates that I could still remember our preparation, and I blitzed out something that I remembered to be correct in this line, but which also somewhat coincidentally, it leads to a position round move 15 where black is a full rook down. Oh, wow. And then we got there, and I know I'm doing well. I can still remember, even most of the lines. I remember the evaluation and everything. But when the adrenaline rush kind of ended, and I thought to myself, you do remember you need a draw in this game, right? Why are you a rook down?
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I did make a draw. I almost won that game, but it was like when you actually have an exciting bit of opening preparation, it's somehow, at least for me, this is such a rare case that I can show off some work that me and my team did in preparation for London. That it never really occurred to me to stop and wonder if there's maybe some slightly more practically sane choices, sane choices I can make in a must-draw game. But it was a fun game.
Have you had many opportunities where you haven't had many opportunities where you've been able to wheel out some great opening idea? Not
as many as other
players, right?
Other top players, yeah. I've definitely had some games which I won.
Yeah.
More or less out of home prep, yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, we've seen this. You're saying you needed to get a draw in that game,
yeah.
And we saw Ali Reza the other day going for the exchange French against Wesley So when he needed to get a draw, and he got a pretty tricky position.
Like choices of things to do when you need a draw with white are
very tricky, right? I was going to ask your opinion on how you would tackle that yourself.
It kind of depends on how you feel your nerves are on the day, because I think general bit of advice, if you can manage it, is to play a normal game. Just kind of disregard that you need a draw and play. I mean, obviously you don't go for something where you make a speculative sacrifice on move 13 and your notes end in with compensation. Like this you probably don't do. But you play normally. You don't change your repertoire too much. And then you get to a position, I don't know, around move 25 or 30, when there is like an important fork in the road, and you can go for something complicated, or you can start trading pieces, and then you start trading pieces if it leads to equal endgames.
Yeah.
But not very many people do that. I find I was kind of surprised with specifically the exchange French by Ali Reza, but he got a reasonable position. It just went downhill kind of fast, but he got a reasonable, simple position out of the opening.
Yeah. I suppose, as some people mentioned in the chat, the memories of that Nigel Short versus Gurovic match, where,
absolutely,
which everyone brings up, where Gurovic needed to draw. He played the exchange French as white against Nigel, and Nigel outplayed him and won. And that was one of the reasons Nigel got, as far as he did in
Absolutely,
that.
yeah. And there's also been actually, the Alireza game wasn't as representative because Alireza actually played knight f3 bishop d6 c4, which I think is correct in that spot. You should not be playing the symmetry. But there was a game in the World Cup in the first round with I keep on mispronouncing the young man's name, which is very very shameful. But the British young man.
Ravi. Ravi. So we have Ravi Harrier. I think.
That game was like a carbon copy of Gurevich Short in a way.
Okay, and this is where he beat Backroot with Black, and I do want to give a shout out, obviously a fellow English player, and we haven't had much talent coming through, but it is great at the moment actually that we've got some players, and Ravi's a really talented player. Marcus Harvey, to name another one. So just got to mention some names, there. But yeah, that was very impressive that he outplayed someone as experienced as Backrow with the French. So
yeah, but obviously Etienne needed to make a mistake in that game to lose. He was doing perfectly fine and then missed some tactic. But that always is going to be the case. You can't really lose a game with white without making some mistakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching that game gave me a very eerie feeling because Etienne obviously is aware of all the lore connected with the Gurevich Short game. Everybody is that game is so much part of the part of the conversation on the whole topic of what do you do in a must draw game, that it's impossible not to be aware of it. And yet he still did all those things and he still lost, which was kind of remarkable.
Yes, it was. By the way, just a little interesting moment here, I suppose. I mean, we had I would like to mention, whenever you play h4, if you're ever on the receiving end of this and you go on g6, there's basically 3 ways you can deal with it. Number 1, you allow your opponent to play h5. Not normally the best way to deal with it, unless you can respond quickly. Number 2, you block it immediately, but obviously you leave the g5 square open in this case. And Magnus has gone for the third option, and these are the things you should be thinking of. And if h5 is ever played, you just meet this with g5. So Peter, after this move, it's gone back into I suppose quite a normal position where h4 and h6 have been played.
Yeah.
So
the difference here is there will be some positions, and I'm actually now trying to look up my game against Timur because it might shockingly become relevant.
Okay, it'd be great to see that. Yeah. So
the point is there will be positions where the pawn on h6 might actually start hanging, and this forces Black to go through some contortions, so to speak, in order to protect things. And Vladislav started with d3. Timur took on d5 and then played d3 against me. But I suspect it might transpose.
Would you even mind telling us how that game went, or very quickly?
Let's say the position we have right now after d3. Yeah, I castled.
Yeah.
Knight d5, bishop queen d5, bishop b3. And this is where normally you play queen d6, but now queen d6 is completely unplayable because queen c1 just wins, pretty much. So I played queen h5, rook c1, b6.
Queen h5, rook c1, b6.
Rook c1, b6, d4, rook d8, and it becomes an absolute bloody mess. This is one of the more chaotic positions you will ever see. And as I mentioned, I almost won that game, so it ended up being a decent practical decision, but still, maybe not everybody's cup of tea. And Magnus goes for a different setup, which is maybe why you are supposed to take on d5 first, because one thing that the inclusion of h4 and h6 does for Black is it makes the move bishop b6 much more playable because there's no knight g5 to think about.
Yeah, sure.
So Magnus perhaps correctly identifies that with Vladislav not taking the opportunity to take on d5 as early as possible, he now has the option of playing bishop b6, and of course he will be recapturing with the bishop now. So those lines we were discussing are no longer really very relevant.
Yeah, it's often a lot of these lines you've got to time this capture on d5. I say a lot of these lines, positions similar to this where one side has a space advantage, but you don't get many options to draw the queen out into the open, and you might be able to gain a very useful tempo on that. And it reminds me of I'll very quickly just show this, but a line in the Dragon which I've played quite a lot. And again, it's all about the timing of when you play the capture on d4. And again, you've got to use plans in certain positions. Sorry, that's not a very good move. At the right time and recognize plans. So after g3 here, knight c6, knight e2 is the main move. But after bishop g2, again, this is a similar situation where you want to take on d4 now before white can stabilize that knight and bring the queen out. So it kind of shows you how you really got to transfer ideas from one opening to the other. And again, it's the same principle with bishop on g7. You might be able to gain a useful tempo over the knight. But let's get back to the game, and I see that Danny is back, so I'll give you back control, Danny, if that's okay. We'll just see that a3 rook c8's been played, and I'll pass you back control of the board. So let me do that now, and hopefully you can move the pieces now, Danny.
Yeah, I can. I love that. I just came in when you were just showing that tactic with queen c1 hitting h6 and c5. It's really neat. Very neat indeed. And you know, it's funny how the inclusion of these moves can, as you mentioned, just flip these variations completely.
Have you seen that famous? There's a famous tactic. I think it was Hector versus McShane, where it was a brilliant tactic like that in the Dragon. It was some crazy thing where little queen c1, but he gives. I'll see if I can find it anyway if there's a spare moment. But it was an amazing little idea. But sorry, yeah, just sprung to mind.
I mean, Peter, you'll know this very well, of course, from these lines in the Grunfeld where h4 and h6 are included, and how that must completely change the assessment of some positions.
Yeah, it definitely changes things. But I will say that. Yeah, Magnus should be extremely happy right now because not that Artemiev is necessarily, very despondent, because I think he gets positions like these sort of by design. But I have a feeling that by not taking on d5 move 8 or 9 or whatever it was before bishop b6 was played, he kind of locked himself into this structure, which he's been playing these types of positions, as I mentioned, on purpose, as they say, not by accident, on purpose. But as a kind of a must-win ploy, this is not very promising, to be entirely honest. Black is just doing very, very well, and Black's play here also is extremely simple, which is going to be another useful thing in Magnus' favor. I'm a bit surprised about the extreme speed with which Magnus played 94 there, but I guess he just doesn't feel that he is under any kind of pressure in a position like this. What would you recapture with on d4 after king takes g2? I'm assuming knight e6 doesn't work. I'm trying to calculate it, but I'm assuming knight e6 doesn't work.
Well, I'm looking at knight e6. Queen d5.
Yeah, queen can go to most squares actually.
Yeah, knight e6, queen d5.
No, apart from d5 actually, because knight f4.
Oh, knight f4. Yes, I picked the wrong one. That's very true. I was only looking at this and just taking here, and well, okay, but yeah, knight f4 is. I managed to. I drew the wrong straw there. So okay, queen
d6 maybe. Queen d6, knight f8, bishop f1, knight g6.
Wow. Okay.
Bishop takes e2, and I assume it still ends being some kind of a draw. I don't know. I would take with the queen. I don't like FG. FG kind of. Well, I'm very much against spoiling my structure.
Yeah, I was slightly concerned about taking here.
But we do have the pawn on d3 hanging, so I don't know. And obviously, because king takes g2 hasn't happened yet, this is what Vladislav currently is trying to assess.
Okay, what are some other options here? Let's see.
I mean, FE exists. If we're really pressed, we can go FE, go. Yeah, he does play king and knight c6 actually. So, and now we can go queen d5 check and c4. And honestly, in a must draw game, maybe this isn't even. Whoa, queen d7.
He's just played queen d7.
Yeah, knight f8, queen h3.
Oh,
we completely missed the best square. Yeah, this is very clever.
That's very neat. Okay, so which means that basically he's just got to take here. Yeah, this has happened.
Yeah.
Here.
And I remember there was a specific Shirov game, I think, at some point, which drew my attention to the fact that this structure really, like, you think this is better for white, but as a matter of fact, it's just so difficult to stop the pawn.
But the queen
at
is
some point.
beautifully placed
Yeah.
on e6, actually, looking at e2, but also looking in this direction, and potential check on d5. So yeah, it's actually very comfortable because the rook is coming into play very quickly.
Yeah, and also, like, you're just not stopping c5, c4.
Yeah.
Eventually c5, c4 will happen. It will equalize everything. Bishop e3 is, of course, the correct move because you had to mitigate the pressure against the e2 pawn to be able to play queen a4 next move. If you don't get to play queen a4 here, you're just never creating any pressure whatsoever.
Well, the question is, can we actually play c4 straight away?
Yeah. I think c4 might just be a draw here.
So if pawn takes,
queen takes, bishop a7, rook a8 or something. Or, or queen a4 even. Queen a4 probably is even more strict.
I mean, it feels like that because there's an option to check at some point, then it's just going to be, should just be fine for black.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is fine. As I mentioned, we don't even need to do that because queen a4. Here you have to calculate queen d7 and so on, which is still a draw, but you kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that e2 can be taken.
Yeah. But instead of rook a8, if you play the move queen a4, since bishop c5, queen c6 drops. Wow, I keep on saying that. Okay, queen a6. Yeah, sorry, I'm being insane. As usual. But yeah, queen a6 still works, right? Because bishop c5 drops a
bishop c5. Yeah. So this check is very, very irritating. So all right, it seems to me that c4 is comfortable. Can Magnus play for more? That's another question. If I play rook c8.
Queen a4. No, I think this is the way you might drift into at least some problems. Even though I suspect bishop d4 in this position makes a draw. But yeah, if you let's say if you play rook c7, rook c1, you might start feeling that things have gone slightly pear-shaped.
Well, I was just wondering whether we could simply go c4 again, actually.
Yeah, but that's a much.
It's a worse version. Yeah,
I'll go dc and I will be taking on a7 with a queen, and that's a huge big difference.
Yeah, well, I was sort of hoping to be able to, hit this guy quickly.
Yeah, it's very possible we're not losing this with black.
Yeah, but why bother when the other one is very clear? Yeah,
exactly. Like we have a much better version available. Why would we?
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
Yeah. Could he be thinking of bishop? Could he be thinking of bishop d4 as well? Is that the only other option? Maybe.
Yeah.
Potentially.
H6, no, h6 is hanging.
H6 is just hanging. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Even that is kind of borderline playable after rook b8, but why bother?
It's in a draw situation, you play c4 here if it works, right? I mean, you don't even think about it. Yeah, it's So he's having a think. There have been rumours that Magnus also he's a big football fan, and he occasionally watches the football as well when the chess is on. I don't know if that's true.
What's on right now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Premier League isn't on because it's the internationals are on this week. So I don't know. Are Norway playing at the moment?
Oh, well, if Norway are playing, then
I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you if you like.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I would be watching. Obviously,
the cricket. Yeah.
Well, the fourth test, but it was going so horribly that I did not even have the scores on.
Well, from England's point of view, going horribly.
Oh, by the way, it's Norway versus Latvia. People are saying so. There could be joint interests with Magnus at the moment.
And so it's half time, and Latvia 0, Norway 1. Breaking news.
Okay. So there you go. So he could be having a good day all round then, Magnus. So, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows this, but Magnus was leading the fantasy football competition where there's millions of people entered, and that it's just incredible that you can be leading that as well. Is there such a thing for cricket, Peter? Is there a fantasy cricket thing?
I'm sure it exists. It's nowhere near as popular, I think, as fantasy football, but I'm sure it exists.
Yeah. Cricket not looking good for England.
Right.
Well, I mean, they did get two very late in the day, so it's not as hopeless as it was. But
one feels that with so it's for those interested, 270 for 3 India at the close of play, and
Kohli's still in, so
Kohli's on 22, Jadeja on 9, and India look like a very
I mean, it's not a bad surface, but like you don't expect this particular lineup to chase anything.
No.
Like they're just not chasing 250, are they? You just can't see them chasing 250, and this is like,
unfortunately the England second innings collapse is just standard part of cricket vocabulary. So,
and it's kind of regrettable because I can still remember the times when they were perfectly capable of chasing like 300 plus targets, and
that would we can only dream of that. So but it feels like we're back to being a one-man team, and if Roots doesn't deliver, then there are problems. But anyway,
although honestly, this has been, I think, the first test in the series where other people got runs. So.
Yeah, they stepped up absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, back to the board, and C4 did happen, and Queen E2 and A6.
I quite like the way Artemiev treated this. He just didn't even try to calculate something connected with picking up the A pawn. He's now going to play Rook C1, I assume, and there's still some minor questions that Magnus needs to solve, but the position is so sterile in general that you would assume that they are the problem, the types of problems he does solve without too many issues. You could maybe make some argument that I mean, taking on H6, you do trade H6 for E2, but you just don't have enough attackers. If you could play H5 immediately, like if in this position H5 wasn't losing a pawn, this would become a very serious consideration, maybe. But because H5 is impossible, I don't think you do that.
And we should just point out that Rook C1 is, of course, a very natural move, but then Queen E4 check.
Yeah, I like Queen E4 check very much. I like softening up the potential.
Exactly. So if F3, the Queen will sit back on E6, and then there are issues with E2, of course.
Yeah, there's just not enough material on the board, I feel, for Vladislav to generate too many problems for Magnus. Yeah, it's a pity that he lost that game too, honestly, because this has been a fantastic match.
By the way, did we ever find out whether there was actually a disconnect?
I think we were told there was a disconnect. Yeah,
okay.
that might have. That's what our producer said. So it might obviously have thrown him off kilter there. It's going to break up your pace and stuff. That was just before he blundered as well, right? In the first game or the second game.
So in the second game, I think
it
seemed to happen right after the opening.
No, I think if there was a disconnect, it was much early. It was way before the final blunder,
which is really unfortunate, because if that cost him time,
it's where he had to rush at the end. But yeah, of course.
Rook C1, Queen E4 check on the board.
Yeah,
King G1.
I think not playing a 3. Not playing a 3, I think, makes perfect sense.
Yes.
But we still have no threat. So even something like Rook B8 here is definitely something Magnus could consider, because he doesn't really have to worry about much of anything right now, and bringing the Rook into play, creating ideas of like Rook B1, perhaps getting more pieces off the board is.
I've seen more thrilling games in this tournament, I have to say.
Absolutely, and even today we've had 2 fantastic games.
Yeah.
And then we have this, which is a bit of an anticlimactic way to probably end the match, we assume.
Yeah, there's not so much to report here, is there? Really, I mean, something quite drastic is going to have to happen for the match to go on. I mean, Magnus is watching the football, I feel, so he's going to have to really do a slip when a goal goes in or something. But
yeah.
Do you think serious question? Do you think he actually is watching the football at the same time?
He's sort of on the record on that.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's against. Well, obviously it's not against the rules, but yeah, why not? Why not? Norway are playing. Put the football.
I think there's a really really big screen in the den there somewhere on the wall which might have football on.
Yeah, it's quite possible. It's quite possible it's got football on. So, and how are Brentford doing now, Danny? Your team in the Premiership. So
after 3 games, unbelievably, they are unbeaten.
I saw is 2 wins and a draw. I saw they won the first 2. Was it
one win and 2 draws?
2 draws. Right. Okay.
I was at the first game against Arsenal, and
good one.
Honestly, the atmosphere was just rocking.
Did you have to bring it up?
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Do you support Arsenal, Peter?
Well, I no longer really care about the sport at all. But when I did care about,
well, I'm not surprised if you support Arsenal.
Yeah.
Jeez, what kind of pylon is this? Like, what is happening here?
But actually, just to complete, I didn't go to the Palace game, but I went to Aston Villa last weekend, and it was a 1-1 draw. But actually, very exciting. I mean, I think Aston Villa was a serious test. They're a decent team, and actually Brentford held their own pretty well. Which that gave me some confidence. I think they're going to struggle against the big teams, but
it's great matches to go and see anyway. So yeah, which is cool. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so Queen 5, please.
What is this? Why can't we take? What am I missing? No, I mean on A6. No, this I can sort of understand, but like, why has the A6 pawn been given up?
Now the question is, did that Latvia just score at the same time as that move?
Magnus looks a bit perplexed. I think he may have been trying to play Queen E6.
Look, look at his face.
Yeah,
I think this is exactly what he said. It was like we were saying, have Latvia or Norway just scored? This is. We need some information on it.
I'll tell you. Hang on.
I think that got dropped on the wrong square. Like, nobody ever plays Queen E5 in this position. This is not a move you can like legitimately make.
Okay, so still Latvia 0, Norway 1 after 51 minutes.
Okay. It must have been a mouse slip, right? I mean, like, look at him. He's literally. You can see his body language. He's just blundered. He's clearly, for whatever reason.
It's not a blunder. It's a misclick. I'm pretty sure. Like
misclick, yeah. Or
I don't think it's a blunder.
Yeah, because hang a minute. I mean, you don't ever play, as you say, Queen E5. You can't.
Yeah, people are saying he wanted to play Bishop E5, but that's not the kind of a misclick you make. I don't like. No. You start dragging with the piece. You don't click on the square.
No.
So I mean, to me, it looks like he was planning to play Queen E6, which looks like a perfectly reasonable move. And now he's down a pawn, and the match is
back on. Let's tuck in for another long day, Danny. Woohoo! Right, but yeah, I mean, this is game on. I mean, like, White's just taken that pawn and it's a pawn up.
Magnus, he's disgusted with himself. He really is. He's really disgusted.
Yeah. Well, hang on. What's happened here?
Has he allowed four? I mean, we're not losing the rook, but I think Artemiev correctly appreciates like that. The old, Botvinnikin, if that's even a word, way of like looking at converting advantages, like which pieces you want on the board, which pieces you want off the board. I think queen and bishop ending here is better than queen and rook ending. It's so getting rooks off the board here is not. I think queen b5 probably gives you more of a shot than queen b2, even, I would argue.
Okay, let's have a look at queen b2. So you think just the trade?
I think I just take and go king g2 here. Yeah.
Right.
And Magnus agrees. Yeah, Magnus doesn't like this one at all. Magnus goes queen b5.
Yeah.
That endgame is also obviously not very fun, but
what a turnaround!
Oh, yeah.
That's again.
Well, he's okay. So, what are the chances? Are this is a win for White or a draw? I mean, if I always say this: if God's playing God, Peter, what's the result?
I think White wins this position. I'm pretty sure this is a winning position.
You just go rook c2, do you, and rook a2? Is that one way or something better? Or...
this allows rook b1, rook a1, right? If I could, I would be extremely happy.
Sure. Yeah, miss that one. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, if we could get the rook behind, it would become, I think, kind of straightforward. But we currently cannot
do that one. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, people obviously fail to win these all the time. It's not a foregone conclusion that this ends up being a White victory, because there's still plenty of work to be done. But yeah, I think these ones, lean heavily towards just being mathematically winning if played properly.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so I suppose bishop f6 to defend.
I guess
that?
bishop f6. Yeah, I don't think you can play e5. So you play bishop f6, and by forcing bishop f6, Vladislav is kind of locking those pieces down a little bit for a time. I'm wondering if he wants to go a4 to have rook a7 if rook b1, rook a1 happens, or if he wants to do something else.
Okay, let's have a look here. Yeah, at least the rook can get behind. Gives a little bit of hope.
Yeah, but in that final position, let's say we continue the line a4, check rook a1, we go rook a7. I think I'm sort of one move away from being completely winning here, and that move is bishop f4 e3, because after that, I think the a pawn just gets to a7.
Okay, that would be fairly serious. So do we have? How do we flick in?
He started with g5, which I think kind of, it actually speeds up the white plan, because as I mentioned, I won the bishop e3. Yeah, I won the bishop on e3, and he's actually driven it to e3 pretty much by force. Yeah, I think this is very close to just like straight up dead.
Okay.
And I think Magnus being horribly disgusted with how things have. He's gone king g6, which is even more remarkable. He's just giving up on e7. I think I can take on e7, right? I don't think I lose the a pawn.
Is there some problem with if I play this?
I have rook a7. This is
I just rook a7. Oh yeah.
a7 everywhere.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But by the way, a4 was played instead.
Artemiev not interested. Artemiev says I'm just queening this pawn.
Just queen the pawn. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's horrible because you got bishop b6 as a
rook b2 passive. I think you can go a5.
Just push the pawn. Yeah.
I think we're just actually winning by force.
Yeah.
a5, rook a2, rook c6 check, and then
White's bishop is on a perfect square, isn't it? As you pointed out, on e3, supporting that. So there we go. Wow. Okay. He's not watching the football as much anymore, it seems.
Yeah, seems like football has been put on the back burner.
Yeah. The thing is, he could have watched the rest of the match had he pulled this one off. So.
Yeah, if I rook a2 on the board, rook c6 check. I just don't see how
game over,
the black pieces get there. Yeah, he's running with he's trying to prepare bishop d4, but yeah, even a7 bishop d4 takes rook c7 is a
bishop
trivially winning position for white. And there probably is something cleaner if we are looking for something cleaner, but I don't think we are. I think we're perfectly happy playing.
Looks clean enough to me.
Yeah, takes rook c7, take one of the pawns on the 7th. We're two up in the rook ending, with one of them being on a7.
It's good. It's absolutely
not going to be very difficult to convert.
Here we go.
Going to be interesting to see his body language actually just at the end of this one. Obviously, he's going to be very annoyed knowing he's got to play another game now.
Yeah, I think he just made some work for himself. He's still obviously a large favorite not to lose with white, but yeah, you don't feel happy about this. Obviously, you could have been.
Well, there he goes, back to the football.
Yeah,
I'll give you the update.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's still 1-0. Is that? I'm sure. Okay, 1-0. Right.
Yeah, 59 minutes.
Did you watch the England match the other day, Danny or Peter?
No, I caught the highlights. I didn't watch it live. I'm not. Okay, a big game. I'm kind of interested in. I'm not that fussed, to be honest. Yeah.
No. Okay, so they're still playing. Okay, he's resigned now, it seems. So okay, and we're assuming just a mouse slip in that one. No,
I really do think it was a mouse slip, but I don't know, but that would be very, very heavily favored explanation for me here. Judging first of all by the move, and secondly by the reaction to him making the move and then staring at his screen in sort of disbelief.
Yeah. I don't even know if he realised he put it on the wrong square. I think he put it on the square, watched the TV, then he looked back and he realised he put it on the wrong square. I think that was the kind of way it went, which was quite funny. But I mean, he might not be watching the football, by the way. I might just, I'm just guessing. But
to be honest, I would be amazed if he was watching the football.
Yeah, I probably
would be.
I'm probably just saying that.
My impression is, Magnus is too professional to do that. I mean, really.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to say anything, but no. He's obviously, he's a world champ, isn't he? So means we got another game, and well done to Vladislav. I mean, he kept the game going, didn't he? I guess it's just about by playing moves. So it was good, and we'll just find out when the next game is. Maybe we can take a short break now. I think we've got 5 minutes or so. Yeah, you do remember one of his last streams was in a hot tub. Did you see this?
I did see that. It was glorious.
Yeah. It was. He was on holiday, and he basically streamed one of the lead chess events from a hot tub with his friends having a beer. So it's like, yeah. Would you be tempted to do that, Daddy?
No.
No, neither would I.
Absolutely not.
Far too scary for the viewers.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put that out of my head, actually.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's
good time for a break. So,
think so.
So we do have a bit of time now. The next game is in 15 minutes, and
in 15 minutes.
I think it's 15. It might be 10, but
whatever shall we do with ourselves?
Let's have a break. So we're going to break, and everyone else, good time to get a coffee, tea, or maybe even a beer. It is Saturday after all. I have to say I'm quite tempted now. So we'll be back shortly anyway, after a little break.
Do not drink and drive.
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Air Things. Breathe better. Live better.
Freedom! So fresh, so new. Freedom! It's all for you. All for you. Freedom! Keep your ears to the ground. Talking about the freedom. It's the best show in town. Best show in town. Freedom. Freedom.
I'm ahead of the game. Well, the phone is always ringing. I'm caught up on the line. Got a string around my finger. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker, but follow me. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I'm only ever slinging. I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer, the melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy. Logically, I'm impossibly wanted. And they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm ahead now. Well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
Want to raise your chess to a new level? Challenge Yourself is an exclusive, innovative experience designed for Chess24 Premium members. Train like a champ with a unique set of lessons prepared by the coaches of the challengers. Boris Girlfriend and Co. will help you improve your chess. Play a champ. Play a grandmaster each day in Banter Blitz. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity from June 10th. Go premium and challenge yourself.
Right, so maybe it's time to do some calculation. Make sure we'll be able to see some hidden and hard moves during the tournament. It's just like when we are facing some problems, no matter within chessboard or outside chessboard, and then we saw it's very complicated. We didn't find the solutions or whatever, but sometimes we just need to step back and, trying to think about this question as we saw it the first time and as a beginner with a fresh mind, right?
Yeah, you played this question, okay.
Yeah, this one I remember. Yeah. This one I think I have seen, but I don't remember.
Yeah, just the analysis I will be more curious. The game I'm pretty sure you have seen the game.
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay, put it in chat.
How do you know all the positions?
Yeah, Mukesh is completely ruining the fun, yeah? You guys know this position?
Yeah, Mamedyar Aroni.
Oh, Mukesh, what do I do with you?
So BC, I like this move because it really puts actually also my general idea that it's to give a choice to your opponent, it's always good, yeah? Because you never know, to give a chance to your opponent to make a mistake, it's always pleasant, yeah? Especially I was told, I learned this years, and when you play, let's say, opponent who is much weaker than you, if you force him to play with only moves, he'll find it. But if you give a choice, that's where the difference in your strengths will tell.
To say is that when you play versus the opponent who has only one opening, it's I think it's rather you really prepare some strong idea in the line which they play, like you are preparing against something what they played in their games, and then you prepare some strong idea, or you choose something different where it's like both of you are not in this theory. Just maybe some sideline or whatever, where she doesn't have so many games.
Watch chess tournaments online? Don't just watch. Go to Chess24 and make it an interactive learning experience. You get live commentary in multiple languages, including different streams in English from beginner to expert. It's not just commentary, since there's also an interactive live board. Choose your game and try out your own moves. All moves by the players get near-instant cloud analysis from the latest chess engine, which will also analyze any move made by a premium user. Open the tab Opening Tree. It contains a database of 500 million positions from historical games. Has the current position ever occurred before? What did the best players play? The database tab lets you search full games and load them on the interactive board. There are many more tools for chess learners and experts. Come to Chess24 to watch all the online and over-the-board chess tournaments happening worldwide. Discover a new way to watch chess. Be part of the experience.
Let's take someone with a random account, with a random name that just seems attractive.
Play live online against the world's top chess players while they stream their thoughts live. As a Chess24 Premium member, seize the chance to have your moment of fame. Get a peek inside their lives with question and answer sessions, in-depth teaching, analysis and interviews. The Champions Chess Tour, with countless accompanying events, is happening now. Tune in on Chess24.
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Air Things. Breathe better. Live better.
I'm ahead of the game. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker, but follow me, I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I'm only ever slinging, I'm working overtime. Got the song and I'm the singer, the melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy, logically, I'm impossibly wanted, and they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
Okay, we're back and we've got more chess. So after that mouse slip, and we agreed it must have been a mouse slip there. The game goes on.
Check. Maybe there's something on Twitter somewhere.
We can see, yeah, if anyone said anything about that, but it basically now is in a situation still where Artemiev needs to win the last game. Bit trickier with the black pieces now to level the match. Magnus played extremely well in the first game. The second game was really unclear, very up and down. Well, not up and down, but very, very interesting encounter with Artemiev just blundering at the end. So maybe in some way that mouse slip was a bit of karma. Maybe not too much karma. little bit of karma, a little bit. And it means we get more chess today. The fight for third and fourth has not taken place.
I haven't found any confirmation, but all I've seen is exactly as we have done. Are people saying must have been mouse slip? Yeah. Because like for this to be a blunder, you have to have some rationale for playing Queen E5, and I just it's not like Queen A5 is a very hidden threat of Queen takes A6.
You can't get much more obvious, can you? Than
So like for this to be a blunder, you need to first consider the move Queen E5, and then convince yourself it's good. Yeah, and I just don't see how that happens.
I know. I think it was just, as you say, just a mouse slip there. Yeah. And, so it means we do get one more game, which is great, and it's going to be Magnus with white. He's incredibly tough to beat at the best of times, but with white, that little bit trickier. So it's going to be an uphill struggle. We'll see what happens there. Okay, so we were talking about Gibraltar, big open competition. We've also got the World Championships coming up that we were discussing a little bit as well. It seems like, Peter, you've got some events planned. I mean, Danny, you don't play so much. I mean, do you play at all anymore?
I don't. No, it's
okay, right. Okay, so simple, yeah. You don't play online. Do you ever have the urge to play at all?
I do, absolutely. Yeah. Do you know what? Life just became so busy in the past couple of years that occasionally when I did play the odd game, I just found it very frustrating, and life is just really full. Family, work, all kinds of stuff. It's just absolutely crazy. So it just felt like I would, if there ever comes a point when everything just kind of calms down, then I look forward to returning to actually play. But not at the moment. It's just completely mad.
What kind of time limit would you play, Danny? I mean, would you prefer to go back and play some classical games, or would you like to play rapid or a blitz tournament? Any preference?
Probably all of the above.
Right. Okay.
I have nothing against classical chess. I really enjoy classical chess. Sure, I like that feeling of immersion and getting in the flow. It was always my favored time control, actually.
I can remember a funny story when I played you, Danny. I was a wee nipper, and I don't know, maybe 12 or something in there. It was at the Lloyds Bank Masters, and
I think we played at Lloyds Bank.
We did, yeah.
Maybe in sometime in the early 90s, maybe.
Something like that, yeah. I think the game went E4, C5, C4. It's my way of tricking you into the Botswanic English, which I played all the time. And but I remember there was one interesting moment, and I was about to open a can of Coke or something, and you just looked at me and you went, "No."
Did I really do that?
Yeah, you did, which is fine. You did. I was about to open it, and you just went, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, sorry." And I realised, good point. Actually,
sorry. I actually wasn't, playing along with your story. I was telling chat to behave, but.
Oh right, but it was still well timed. Yeah,
it was beautiful timed. Yeah. That's really funny. Wow, did I do that?
You did, but it was fine because it was like, you were thinking, and I was like probably making a lot of noise as a kid, getting my chocolate out or something stupid, and I was about to open a can of Coke, and you were like, and I was like, okay, I'll go away and have my can of Coke.
Oh, okay, if it was my move, then
I think it was your move. So
then I feel slightly justified.
No, it was fine. It was fine. I I did have one 2700 player tell me I couldn't drink coffee at the board because I was too noisy drinking it.
Slurping.
Apparently so. He said, just take your coffee away. You're not allowed to have your coffee. You're making too much noise.
Were you doing that saucer thing where some of it gets tipped into the saucer, and were you taking the saucer and kind of?
I don't think I was that bad, but maybe I was. I hope not. Anyway, but I was probably, maybe doing that a bit. Then it was, I didn't realize I was doing it. Otherwise, I would have done it. But clearly,
that's so funny about the Coke can.
Yeah, it was a while back now, but it was like little memory. So.
Yeah, but I seem to remember the last time we played, you plonked a pint of beer on the table.
I think it was down one of my local pubs, and we played there.
Yeah,
my team, the Drunken Knights, Surrey. It kind of sounds more like a biker gang, doesn't it? A chess team was playing against your team, and
I don't think I objected at all to you plonking a pint of beer on the table. It was just fine.
Were you there, Danny? Because we used to, before we get onto the game, we'll get there soon. But were you there when we played in this pub, and we had like a little? Well, it wasn't even a building. It was like a sort of a part of the pub, really, where we played. And were you there when? We're in the middle of a match, and it was only a 5-ball match. Everyone was silent.
We talked about this last time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, you were. Yeah, that was great. And this really drunk guy came in, nothing to do with the chess, and was like, "What are you doing here? Chess? What is that?" And I think someone said, "Oh yeah, that was last year's board one," or something like that. But that was funny. Anyway,
no, it was good. Yes, it was a good evening.
It was fun. It was fun. Very social games.
Okay,
I think we probably should start discussing Game 4 though.
Yeah, probably wise. Yeah,
Peter's feeling a bit left out. When was the last time you downed a pint at the board, Peter?
Oh, Bunratty. I'm sure one might be done in Bunratty.
Oh, Bunratty, of course.
Not since Bunratty, sadly, and I really do hope I get to return one year. Those were a lot of fun.
And that's good to hear, Peter. I'm delighted to hear that you indulged in Bunratty.
Yes, I think Jerry was in the chat earlier, who runs Bunratty. So we hope Bunratty's this amazing tournament in Ireland, if anyone's wondering, but where all of us have played, and it'd be lovely to go back there, wouldn't it? All of us to get back there with a point.
Okay, Bishop B5 check is on the board. Magnus
97, and interestingly, he goes for A4, which is a kind of a nice move to get a playable position with not much theory, but there's definitely some lines after Bishop B5 97 which are sort of straight up a forced draw if Black is not careful, or Black gets a much worse position. And Magnus definitely is aware of them because he was one of the major driving forces behind the Bishop B5 97 theory, progressing as much as it has in recent years. What he's doing is still completely fine.
I was just going to say, Peter, it's incredible the developments in this line. Years back, practically the only move that was played was D4 here, and now, I mean, the range of moves that White can play here is extraordinary. I mean, Bishop A4.
Bishop A4 in particular
now an extraordinary move.
Yeah. Bishop A4, Castles A6, Bishop D3, which looked outlandish then, but looks absolutely like absolute boilerplate now. Nobody blinks an eye at this.
Incredible. Anyway, listen, we should stick to the game, which has gone like this: A4,
A5, Bishop G7, castles. You can already consider playing A6 here, and that's what he does. The point being that if B6, I think Bishop C6, Knight B5 is legit very, very strong. If we're not missing some tactics, which I don't
very
think
very direct way of playing.
Yeah, but I mean, if this works, it kind of borderline wins the game. So
I think Magnus won a very nice game against, I think it was Dreyev in the Olympiad a few years ago in exactly this line. Actually, I think maybe Dreyev's played it slightly differently with Black, but it was featured the advance of the A pawn.
Mm-hmm. Black really isn't that unhappy about having to break apart the structure, because there will be a B file available for counterplay. The A pawn, in particular, if you can find a way to trade off the light square bishops, the A pawn, Black tries to get it all the way to A4 so that the pawn on B2 becomes a bit of a target. But in general, I mean, Magnus should be quite happy with how this came out, because it's going to be a very solid position. White has no structural weaknesses whatsoever. In fact, if anybody does have a structural weakness, it's going to be black, if we assume the a6 and the b7 pawns are going to get traded. So there's going to be a nice Alani on the a file.
Looks already very, very pleasant for White to me.
Well, I mean, it's still a.
You're not so despondent about Black's position.
No, I don't think it's horrible. I just think it's exactly what Magnus would have wanted out of this game, a non-theoretical battle where, you know, his position is extremely healthy. I don't think he cares if it's better or not. It's just extremely healthy, very sound strategically, and we play. Yeah, but I think something like this, Black is kind of fine.
Yeah, I was going to say the knight on d7 is poorly placed, so he's going to redirect it to c6.
I guess if you get your pawn to a5, that might help a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes just
choice of a3 is interesting to me, because I don't know which one I would have chosen. With the knight not on d7, maybe there is some argument for putting it on a4. But yeah, this is also fine. So White wants to play something like bishop d2, b3, I guess. I don't know, queen e2, rook fe1. If he gets all of those moves in, he will be a bit better. Even that is really not tragic for Black, I don't think, because it's difficult to launch any kind of a, you know, full-throated assault on the a7 or a5 pawn. But yeah, it's a good position for a must-draw game. And as we've seen, I think every game this set, up about 4 minutes on the clock already.
Yeah. Apart from the second game, they've all been quite slow burners, I think it's fair to say. The second game where Vladislav played this, well, very interesting sacrifice was fireworks from very early stages, but everything else has just sort of been building up, and this is going to take the same path, I guess. So what should Black be doing here, do you think? I mean, do you think knight d7, something like this? And just,
knight d7, b6. Yeah, knight d7, b6 definitely comes to mind. Okay. As I mentioned, I kind of like the idea of at least attempting to get the a pawn all the way to a4.
Yeah.
And also, you know, this for now at least stops b3. But I mean, it doesn't stop White's plan in general. I will still play bishop d2. I will still play probably queen e2. I don't know how happy I am allowing knight d4 in every single position, though. It's a topic for a different discussion when that becomes, you know, more immediate. Black hasn't even played knight d7 yet, so
I mean, can White sort of play knight e2 and c3 and
that as well? Yeah, but I think the knight is quite well positioned on c3. On c3, yeah. I don't know if we want to be moving it away from there.
Okay.
It could just play knight a4 and b3 actually.
Yeah, or that. Right. Yeah.
Instead of moving the bishop
and try to go bishop b2. Yeah, it'd be lovely to get rid of.
Or just keep options open with the bishop anyway. But I mean,
that's a very fair remark. Yeah.
I mean, knight a4 and b3 is just such a nice structure for White.
Yeah, I can remember a lovely game, Peter, where you beat Magnus, and I think you had the black pieces, and it was. Magnus played the English, and you went e5 and f5. But you got a very good Dutch kind of structure, and I think you played this b3 idea. I think you were black anyway. It was like a Dutch structure where, or did he do? I'm hoping he didn't do it to you. I think you did it to him. Can you remember this game?
The only one that like vaguely sounds like the one you're describing is the one I should have lost with White but didn't. I wonder if you could...
I can find it, but yeah,
I haven't won that many games against him in general, so
I'm just looking at the players again. I really hope there isn't a disconnect here, because again he's made no, he hasn't made a move yet. We're still in this position.
The camera is working. You can see him blinking.
Yeah, I can see he was very still for a moment there. I was slightly worried, but you know, the reason I was kind of alerted to it is because look, he's burning his time again. And Magnus is he's almost, you know, he was sort of smiling and shaking his head. You know, as if, you know, why is he doing this?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Peter. I just saw the game. You obviously you're completely correct, but it was a draw. I thought for some reason I thought you won. You got a nice opening, right? In some sort of it seemed to be a nice opening position.
Is that the one from Norway Chess where?
Yeah. Yes,
No, I wanted to resign move 15, and then Magnus played.
Magnus was black. That was it. So yeah, Magnus had the Dutch setup. Yeah.
I misplayed that. I misplayed that game so horribly. I legit wanted to resign about move 15 because the position was completely lost. And then Magnus did something for the gallery. Basically, he had a number of very straightforward, very simple wins, and he went for something crowd pleasing, and he made a miscalculation. And I actually had like slight winning chances later in that game.
Yeah.
I didn't miss a win as such, but I definitely at some point had a shot, and it was kind of embarrassing considering how poorly I played like the first 15 to 20 moves.
But you got a pretty decent score against Magnus, right? I mean, from classical games, no?
I think I haven't gone below 50% yet, but that's because we don't play often enough.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. So, could it be in the positives?
No.
Okay.
It has been for a while, and then I lost to him in Baden-Baden in 2019, I want to say, and it's now 2-2 with some draws.
Okay. I'll take that. I would take that. So B3 on the board anyway, and
I'm really surprised. Sorry, Simon. Just to break in. I'm just really surprised that
Queen B6.
Artemiev has played Queen to B6 because it seems to me that this gives White.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this is about. I'm not sure.
Whether it's swinging the knight here or playing knight A4 or you know, sometimes there's potentially a knight D5. It looks very strange to me.
Yeah, not a move I would have chosen or guessed, honestly. I don't know what the queen is doing there.
It just looks like a bad square to a lot of pieces, as you mentioned, Danny. With the
maybe he should just put it back. But it's he's consuming not only a lot of time but sort of not doing anything very positive.
Yeah,
97 played.
Okay.
97 played. We could go knight A4 bishop B2 or the immediate bishop B2 as Magnus did it.
Now this knight A4 though is going to gain very useful tempo. I mean,
I think we play Queen B7. Yeah, I think that's why we. Having played Queen B6, we play Queen B7 now.
Queen C1, Queen A1. I don't know which.
And can you still go Knight A4? I mean, it'd be nice to try to get those bishops off, which I guess Black won't allow. But then I can start throwing the old Harry pawn up the board if I can exchange those guys.
I actually quite like Queen C1 with the idea of knight D1, knight E3. It's just that the knight doesn't really belong on A4. I'd much rather have it somewhere on the
sensible.
But then, on the other hand, with the knight on A4, we no longer have to worry about Black playing A5, A4. And if we telegraph an idea of knight D1, Black might just play A5 and say, if you continue along the same path, I might be in time to play something like A5, knight B6, A4. But you also have to sort of factor into all of these considerations that, if Black equalizes, but in the process of equalizing, like the entire queen side disappears, considering Magnus only needs a draw, how unhappy is he?
Yeah.
It's a kind of a tricky spot, but it's a good tricky spot for Magnus here because I think his options are, generally going to be very healthy regardless of what he ends up choosing.
Yeah, he's again got that Queen A1 makes a lot of sense as well, right? I mean,
I was wondering about knight b4. The reason I like Queen C1 better is that I didn't like knight b4, but I guess he just goes rook C1 and says we both have wasted the tempo. Hang on, bishop h6.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Knight b4, rook c1, bishop.
Maybe queen b1 simply. Yeah, maybe he just says knight b4 is such a useless move that I'm quite happy to have provoked it.
Maybe he's watching too much of that football again. So
I can't believe it. I just can't believe he's doing
that. Yeah,
could go knight e1 as well.
Yes. Not any problems for White though, really at all.
Not really. I mean, it's so solid. I mean, if this is your only very slight weak spot, but
yeah, it's not really an issue, is it? So yeah.
Okay, just for amusement, anyone like that one?
Yeah, well, okay. Well, what about if I get ready for your rook c1 and go bishop h6, Danny?
What?
I'm just
okay.
Just trying to find the only way I can lose in one move, of course. Okay, well, let's see it, Daddy.
That is actually
that's
very,
nice. Yeah.
very nice. Yeah,
Yeah, it is very nice.
It's not so stupid, is because I throw in this check.
You should also point out the other checkmate if you take on.
Yeah,
or take on c2 is quite nice as well, right? So
yeah, so here and that's actually checkmate. So yeah, so takes. Throw in the check here, and well, that's kind of turned out quite well because we can just dip the knight back and
this is very nice for white.
Yeah, it's
very nice.
Yeah, so maybe knight d5 in this position.
Interesting.
Quite forcing, actually.
Yeah. And possibly Vladislav spent quite a lot of time on this move, so he could be working that out himself. I mean, he does get very low, though. I mean, you know, Magnus has over twice the time at the moment, and not really sure what he's thinking about too much here. Maybe it's just a bit of an uncomfortable position for Black, though, because if you don't go knight b4, White's got many ways to improve the situation, I guess. Like you say, knight d1, you get rid of the bishops, you can...
And actually, knight d5 just generally is quite bothersome. So
I
don't know if you...
Well, if you play e6, I'd just continue with that plan. Let's say I go knight d1. I love the idea of getting rid of these bishops somehow, and because I can always then start coming for your king side as well with White.
Yeah.
If I go knight d1, you exchange and normal plan.
Just a little bit uncomfortable for Black, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Could actually be quite uncomfortable if you play passively here as well.
Yeah, so I mean, if the bishops come off and White prevents the a-pawn from reaching a4, it's a stable advantage for the rest of the game with no risk involved at any point, which is precisely what Magnus would have wanted out of this game.
Yeah. And I mean, how long's he spent on this one move? I mean, he spent maybe a third of his time. No, it can't be that much. A quarter of his time on this one move.
Yeah, time management really. I haven't actually played very much against him in this format, but I'm kind of surprised at how he's managing time. I don't think he is normally this slow.
Does Magnus even know it's his move? Now look at the body. Oh, he does. Okay, a5 played. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, a5 makes sense, right? I mean, you want to play this a4, but now knight d5 also makes a lot of sense. I mean,
yeah, knight d5. The question is whether takes a4 works. But as I mentioned, like even if it does, the entire queenside just disappears, and you know we're just not sad with White.
Not at all. I mean, White is actually, even after that exchange, it seems to be
a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah, with the knight on d5 and e6 is always a little bit problematic.
Yeah, a4 rook f1 or something. Yeah, a4 played, but yeah, rook f1. Black is not obliged to take yet. You can throw in e6, but after e6, both knight e3 and even knight f6 check if I wanted to. That's perfectly fine.
It'd be nice to just pretend to be better and play rook e1.
I think White's definitely better here, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and obviously threatening to take then. And then, so okay, let me just.
I mean, h4 as well, playing on the other side, is not a stupid move by any means.
No, not at all.
It's just when their bishops are gone, that pawn's going to be very dangerous. Okay, well, the football is now over, apparently. So it was 2-0 to Norway by the looks of the scores. So
our chat informs us that Norway had 2 huge chances for 3-0 in the last minute.
Right. So now
Queen c1. Whoa.
Okay, well, this was also something I was thinking about. Just go for mate, right? So I mean, it's also you're not going for mate. I think maybe Black has to play f6 at some point.
Well, you can play e6. E6. You can play e6, but then I guess he goes knight e3 and he starts hinting at like knight g4 ideas.
Okay, so basically Queen c1 with 2 threats: Queen h6 and simply taking your pawn.
mean, if you take on b3, can I play queen h6 anyway? I mean, I don't need to, of course. I take with the rook, but it's okay. e6 played. You have to.
Yeah, he played e6. I think Magnus goes either. Actually, even knight c3 is not entirely stupid because it's actually a bit awkward to like after ab3, rook d3. It would have been awkward to find the square. But yeah, knight e3 of course is always going to be the most natural response here
with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, we keep the position very simple here as white. I don't think we're much better, but it's also just incredibly difficult to imagine how you're going to have any risks at any point. It just goes queen b2 back.
Yeah. So knight g4 is an option, and yeah, but as you mentioned ages ago, Peter, basically Magnus risks absolutely nothing by doing this, and yeah, this is like the best scenario for black is to exchange a lot of pieces.
Yeah, rook f8. I think he'll go knight g4. He just insta takes on b8. Interesting. I thought knight g4 was a kind of a clever thing to include there, which I thought was more or less forcing e6 e5, which you don't hate at all, obviously, with white, because then you return to e3 and you plonk your knight on d5 and you're happy. But he's saying I don't even need to rush with any of this. I can have it later.
I think he's just holding his position and playing quickly, and watching Artemiev's time drop. He's just being very practical.
Just to answer Kevin Winter in the chat, the YouTube chat. I've never played in Russia or been to Russia, actually. I mean, I would love to one day go there. So Peter, if I was going to go to Russia, where would you recommend? St. Petersburg or Moscow?
Yeah, you like those are the two obvious starting points. So the country is huge. There is a lot to look at, even in smaller towns, and like the but the way people normally start is they allocate, like, I don't know, a week to Moscow, a week to St. Petersburg, and do the touristy thing. And if you have some time left over, there's a lot of.
Did you have a favorite place yourself? I mean, you.
I mean, I live in one of the most beautiful cities on earth, so would be strange to have.
Yeah, is that St. Petersburg? Or
I think apart from the weather, I mean, it's a very, very large problem, unfortunately, because the city was built on a swamp, and the weather is leaves much to be desired. But apart from climate issues, it's definitely one of the most wonderful places to live.
Yeah.
Very, very enjoyable.
I mean, with the chess here as well, I mean, just going back to the board, it just seems like Magnus is not trying too much to get in the edge. He's happy to keep everything under control, and at the moment.
Yeah. So. There's nothing very unstable about White's position. I mean, really.
No weaknesses at all, right? Absolutely.
I think it's very clear from his approach that he just does not believe he can lose this position, so he is not willing to invest, any time at all in any. He's just going to play d4 here and hold that rook ending very easily. And
oh, okay, d4 here, yeah, because actually this is probably Artemiev's first threat
of the game.
Threat of the game, really, to play. Yeah, seriously, play d4 and knight c2. So just d4. You're suggesting just.
Yeah, I think you do that. Okay. It looks a bit ugly, but it does make an immediate draw. So who cares how ugly it looks?
Yeah, let's just show that.
Yeah.
I mean, something really has to go wrong for Magnus.
Like rook c8, rook b5. I think is the last precise move you will have to make. I mean, precise with huge air quotes there in that final position after fe3.
Okay, it's on the board. It's happening.
Yeah, after rook c8, if you play rook d4. Black plays rook c5, and you might have to defend 3 against 2 as a kind of a worst case scenario. But you do have rook b5, which will not even allow that. So yeah, it's just a draw.
Yeah. Probably a draw without the c pawn, I guess, as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, okay. To start with, maybe less of it. I mean, that is something you can definitely play, but
yeah. But without
Yeah.
the e-pawn, probably a draw here. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing pawns away for no reason now, but like,
Yeah.
it's
No, the question here would be if it's a draw without the H pawn. Without the E pawn,
Right.
it's a draw. It's a draw you make with your eyes closed. But
yeah.
without the H pawn, it might become a bit tricky.
Yeah. Okay, so they're going to play it on, and there was never really much of a chance for Vladislav in this game the way the opening went, and
No.
he if anything was a little bit worse, and Magnus took no risks.
Yeah, that was a very nicely controlled game by Magnus. I don't think it will continue for very long. Honestly, I don't think. I'm not sure what the policy is on draw offers in this tournament, but they might have to find some kind of a threefold. But yeah, we know how this movie ends.
Yeah, which will mean we're back tomorrow. Of course, it looks like Magnus is going to go into the lead, and Vladislav will have to get a plus score in the 4 games to take it to a playoff tomorrow, which is possible. But anything you think he needs to change, Peter, about his play for tomorrow?
It will, it's been something we talked about exclusively. So
yeah,
I think apart from time management, no. I think he played well. I think, he got beaten by the world champion, but people lose to the world champion every now and again. It's not a huge shock. But I think this, like the intent was correct, and even the execution, in particular, like in game 2, I liked what he was doing a great deal. But he left himself a little bit too much time, too little time at crucial moments to get the most out of the positions he got. And I don't think he needs to change anything sort of conceptually. He just needs to be a bit faster and hope the run of the green is slightly more in his favor tomorrow.
Now, I will remind everyone who's watching that when the game is over, we do get the interviews as well. So stay here to make sure you see. Maybe what someone in the studio will even ask Magnus about whether he's watching the football. I hope they do. I really want to hear. Will they be brave enough to ask him that question? Do we feel? I think it's possible. Okay, here we go. There it is. Done. Good.
Well played, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yes, they made that quick at the end, at least, to get to the draw. So. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna wait for the interview, and that should be within the next 5 minutes or so, and then we'll call it a day for the day's action. I suppose the highlight for me was, well, the first game I thought was fantastic from Magnus, the way he won that, and the second game, this sacrifice from Vladislav was very, very interesting. You can see the scores there. Any other thoughts, guys?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm just a little bit disappointed with the whole disconnection thing. I know, these things happen, but actually, I feel it actually sort of has disrupted the flow of the match. Actually, quite possible that Vladislav would not have lost that game. Well, we just don't know. That's why I find it a little bit unsatisfactory.
It's amazing when you're playing. I mean, when I find I'm playing over the board, how much little things can disturb me. Actually,
yeah.
I think I'm much more. I see some people just don't mind if there's noise or if there's anything, but as you know, Danny, if you get the can of Coke or something, it can be very disruptive. And
we're back to this one.
Yeah, I mean, one of my pet hates is someone who stands over the chair.
Right.
And leans in. I mean, I find these things quite disruptive actually. So you could say that's the same disconnecting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the disconnect is really serious. So.
The difference though is those are the things that other people do to you, and in a way, it's both better and worse because some of them you could argue are deliberately aimed to annoy you, but also there is something to rage against. Whereas when technology fails you, when you're playing online and technology fails you, it just engenders such feeling of kind of disgust and helplessness.
Yeah, it's out of your control. It's out of your control.
By the way, we do have Magnus now on the interview, so sorry to cuts in there, but we can hear. Let's hear what he has to say.
But I could have done a lot better. But yeah, overall, I guess reasonably comfortable.
So maybe we can start talking about that queen move then in game 3. What happened there? Was it a mouse slip or what happened?
Well, my first idea was to play queen from e4 to e6. So I almost played it, and then I became a bit unsure, and I thought I put the queen back, and I kept thinking. I mean, I think I sat there for like a minute before I realized that I'd actually put the queen on the wrong square, because I thought the queen was back, and I was thinking, and then I noticed all of a sudden that it was his move, and I was shocked by that, obviously. Because the thing is, queen e6 isn't even a very good move, and I sort of realized that eventually that I should probably play something else. But that was unfortunate. Since without that move, I don't think the 4th game happens.
Yeah, we could see a big reactions for you when you realized this wasn't the best move then, Magnus. So after sort of a very good day so far then, how irritating was that?
Well, already the 2nd game was kind of poor. I mean, I completely miscalculated early on, and I was frankly just hoping to survive before he blundered. But yeah, I guess he had some troubles with his connection and everything, and he usually gets down on time anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I think we both have some things to improve for tomorrow.
All right, but also let's talk a little bit about that game 1 then. It looked like an absolutely amazing game by you. Do you agree with that?
No, not at all, actually. I think I played well up to a certain point, but then I made a huge mistake when I played queen to g5 at some point, giving him time to push his pawn and gain a few tempi there. I mean, I thought my position was so good that I could do anything, and I kind of wanted to provoke f4, but I mean, if I just play some different move, he just has no ideas at all. He's just unbelievably passive whenever he pushes his pawn to kick away my knight. His position is weakened, so I mean, I can just, and his rooks are really, really passive as well, so I can just do anything. While in the game, I mean, I gave him serious counter chances, and I sort of decided to gamble there and sacrifice another pawn. But I mean, I assumed with the strength of my pieces, I should never be worse. But still, yeah, it was quite unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. And Magnus, we saw that you were in good spirits throughout the match. Was this part of your strategy, just to be happy and calm?
Yeah, but I guess it backfired in the sense that I was too calm and I mouse slipped. But I guess it helped in the 4th game that I just tried to play quickly and not overthink too much.
I tried before, but I'll try again. Can you reveal what made you laugh?
No, I don't even remember. No.
All right. Well, I guess it's tomorrow about having good spirits again, Magnus. What other things did you learn from match 1 here that you will bring to tomorrow, to match 2?
Well, I think this kind of reaffirmed that Artemiev can be quite vulnerable in dynamic and tactical play. So I think that's the main area where I can strike.
All right, Magnus, we wish you best of luck on the final day of Aimchess US Rapid. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Magnus Carlsen, winner of day one, an eventful and entertaining first day in the final, and we're joined by Vladislav Artemiev. So, first of all, how are you feeling after losing day one then, Vladislav?
Good evening. I think that first game was normal. Magnus played as well, but still I can to improve my game in this because. For example, instead f5, maybe g5 is better, and probably it's unclear position. But okay, it's only first game. I can to say that after this I have problems with my connection in second game, and of course it was not easy. Position was very complicated and difficult for mines, and I have big problems also with connection.
Yeah. How stressful? How stressful was those minutes when you were just disconnected?
Yes, I was very disappointed in this moment because I lost one game, and I start to understand that if I lose again, it will be crazy for me. But finally, I lost again. So, okay, it happens. But I think that in the next game where I won, I was lucky because I not understand move queen e5. Maybe it's mouse slip because queen e6 is logical and white only slightly better, I think.
Yeah, and a great comeback by you then there. But have you felt nervous throughout the day? You said to us yesterday that it was a big event for you to play the final against Magnus here.
Of course, first I'm happy, but still because I have problems with my internet connection, it's not good for me, and I will try improve it also, not only my chess. And of course, I very waiting second match, and why no? It's very interesting for me. Good experience play against Magnus.
And there, Vladislav, you mentioned doing something different. How's your routine going to change, or how's your approach going to change tomorrow on the board?
Maybe I will change my opening style, maybe, or some different things. But still, maybe I must to play more quickly because I have problems with time also, time management.
Do you have a team, maybe a trainer or some seconds that is helping you during this tournament with opening preparations?
On this tournament, I not have a personal trainer, but I have some friends who can help me a little bit, and I can ask something. So I'm fully is fine. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you the best on the second day tomorrow, Vladislav, and looking forward to some more entertainment from you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Yes, see you.
See you
all
tomorrow.
The best.
Yes, all the best to you too. Artemiev has to make a comeback tomorrow, and well, if anyone can do it, I bet it's Vladislav Artemiev. What a great player. And technology has been a big theme today, and it's time to announce the winner for the question of today.
Yeah, so we were asking what new technology would help chess, and there was an amazing prize up for grabs. And the lucky winner is Shathan Badar, who says a new app. With it, you can listen to the pieces talk back to you and give you that.
Well, great to be back. It's been an interesting day's chess. Some very interesting games, I feel, there. And Magnus goes into the lead in the last day, so Artemiev has to fight back. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I will pass it on to my brilliant co-host to say the final goodbye. But I don't know if we're going to get a guitar song this time, Danny, are we? We're not.
We're definitely not.
Falling for Peter. Peter.
I
Can't we get one for Peter? Surely.
I felt slightly embarrassed last night because do you know what? It was just kind of the end of a very long day, and I was just like, oh, it was spontaneous. What the hell? But I think I'm going to rein it in. But anyway, listen, I just want to say, Peter, thank you so much.
I have to watch the VOD now.
Oh, geez. Don't. But listen, Peter, thanks so much for joining us. Really, really great to have your insights. Particularly, with a Russian colleague as well. I think we've learned more about Vladislav Artemiev.
Yes, we have.
And well, anyway, and once again, very best of luck in St. Louis.
Thanks very much. It's always great fun to hang with you guys, and I don't know the plans for tomorrow. We all of these things are kind of spontaneous, but if this ends up being the last time we do this together, it's always great fun. Today has been a very, very good day, a very good day of chess. In particular, I think games 1 and 2 both are, you can spend hours discussing exactly what went on there on all sorts of levels. Should be very good tomorrow. I think they're a very good pairing. We did not touch on this very much, but from the earlier days of them playing against each other, I felt that they're a very good pairing stylistically because they both like fighting chess, the kind of fighting chess that, it doesn't necessarily mean either of them will play the King's Gambit or anything, but they just like, competition of skill. They get a playable position onto the board and play it. And Artemiev, I think, is very obvious at it. He has obviously respect for Magnus, but he doesn't fear Magnus as some people might.
He's not afraid to keep some juice in the position, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's what makes it a very interesting contest. All right,
I think one of the earlier games I've seen between them was St. Petersburg Rapid and Blitz, where Artemiev got a slightly worse position. I think it was in the Rapid, maybe not, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, he got a slightly worse position, and then instead of trying to hold it in some kind of conservative fashion, he just insta-sacrificed a piece for a couple of pawns to change the course of the game, and ended up, I think, at some point maybe even pressing for a win a little bit. It ended up being a draw. And I watched that game and I thought to myself, this is a man with the right approach on how to play Magnus. This is a man who, trusts in his skills and is completely unafraid of, trying things and putting Magnus in difficult spots. And this is what we've watched today as well. And if he can continue this tomorrow without perhaps, being on 3 minutes by move 10, that would be useful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen. Shall I wrap things up? I'll just say, nice to see everyone again, and thanks, Simon. Thanks, Peter. And same time, same place tomorrow, 4 p.m. UK time. And well, thanks everyone for tuning in, watching. See you later.
Air quality isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think about chess and esports, but it affects our focus, decision-making, health, sleep, and more. What's in the air you breathe? Find out with Air Things. Breathe better. Live better.
Freedom! So fresh, so new. Freedom! It's all for you. All for you. Freedom! Keep your ear to the ground. Talking about the freedom. It's the best show in town. Best show in town. Freedom!
I'm ahead of the game. Well, the phone is always ringing. I'm caught up on the line. Got a string around my finger. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker. But follow me. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm only ever slinging. I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer, the melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy. Logically, I'm impossibly wanted. The never